Check, check, check. Eddie P flying solo. Tom Shioli's going to join me in a minute. And we'll have a good record session. Just setting stuff up right now so that the King Kfabers, you the King Kfabers, can get access to this video. This is where it pays to have two people rocking. This is where it pays to have two people rocking. This is where it pays to have two people rocking. Let's see what happens. It's been a while, boys and girls. It's been a while, but we're back in full effect. Jimmy's still on vacay. It's been a while, boys and girls. We'll get busy next week for sure. Jimmy's still on vacay. Once Jimmy gets back, but Tom will be here. We're gonna record a couple hours worth of vids. Once Jimmy gets back, but Tom will be here. We're gonna record a couple hours worth of vids. In the meantime, I'm gonna set up. Once Jimmy gets back, but Tom will be here. We're gonna record a couple hours worth of vids. In the meantime, I'm gonna set up. Once Jimmy gets back, but Tom will be here. We're gonna record a couple hours worth of vids. In the meantime, I'm gonna set up. Black and white background for a little while. What's going on, everybody? Let's see, Rob McCollum, man. I'm so jealous that you got your Akira book. I put in my order in Japan. I paid at the convenience store. I'm so jealous that you got your It was pretty Akira cool. Book. My buddies out there, they say that Japan still doesn't use credit cards so much, so they always have to have these ways to pay using cash. Credit is like a newer concept that everybody's kind of getting used to. And so I ordered the second Akira animation book from the complete Otomo a couple days before leaving on this last trip, because I was like really trying to find it in person. Everybody was telling me that there were some stores that'll put it out early, but not as early as when I left. It's like the book was coming out like 2-3 days after I split. Put in the order, and you could choose to have a barcode generated that you could just bring to the endless amount of convenience stores. They scan the barcode, you give them the money, and I did that, but I guess I just didn't choose a very fast method of shipping because my book isn't coming until June 1st. And I did that, but I guess I just didn't choose a very fast method of shipping. And I saw that you got it, Rob. Jeff Darrow got his June 1st. So I'm just sitting here waiting, and you guys will know exactly when I get it, because that next Thursday recording session, Jeff Darrow got his. We'll be recording an episode on it. So I'm just sitting here waiting, and you guys will know exactly when I get it, because Tom will be here 10-15 minutes. We're gonna look at. Oh, that's Tom right now. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Just actually started up the stream.
Okay.
Tom will be here 10-15 minutes. Been a while, man. Been too long.
Too long.
That's Tom right now. I hope you brought the free comic book days.
I did.
Just actually started up. Excellent. Great. We're gonna look at the. We're gonna look at Tom's I Am Stan free comic book day. Been too long. I have an order of operations. I hope you brought the free comic book days for today to get the maximum use out of you, Tom. We're gonna look at Tom's I Am Stan. I have an announcement video I want to make for X-Men Grand Design. For today, to get the maximum we'll do that. We'll do I Am Stan. We'll do you brought the graphite edition for X-Men Grand Design of Destroyer Duck. Yeah. Let me see what you got, man. And then I have some other stuff that we'll do. Is this shit secret right there?
I think it might be.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We won't.
Yeah, I mean,
talk about it right
the only thing I think is like,
I have some other stuff that
because we could talk about it in like July or something, June or July. But it's like if we don't see each other before then, so like maybe we can talk because it's not a big like it would be an exclusive,
Totally, yeah.
It's just it's a little early because the solicitation's going out in July. But I mean, it's not a big deal. Like nobody said like, oh, it's a secret. It's not a big talk about it.
Yeah, this turned out. This turned out great.
Thanks. Yeah,
this turned out fucking beautiful, dude.
In July.
Congratulations.
Thank
Tom.
you. Yeah.
The I Am Stan book. When's this hitting?
In
September?
August, like September for other retailers, August for comic book stores.
Congratulations.
Like, yeah, you know how that works.
I do.
Stuff kind of filters through.
Let me just make sure I read the right pages.
Yeah. Kind of like starts with the Hulk.
Yeah. This is like the origin of Marvel type shit. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And then it ends. Let me just make sure I read the right pages. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is the exact.
So yeah, you can have that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is like the origin of Marvel type shit. Okay. Yes. And then it ends.
Use that as a prop, and you can keep it.
Yeah. Great. There's a lot to talk about with that.
So yeah, you can have.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice, man. When's this come out?
Same time. So it's like
genius.
This, that, and it's.
Did you get an advance like for this?
Yeah, and then,
like they give you.
I don't remember.
Because it'll be an extra income stream.
Yeah. Same time. And then
so it's like genius.
This, that, and then
both of these.
Yeah, it's a simlimultaneous hardcover, softcover release, which is kind of becoming a thing, like other publishers are doing.
Yeah. You're gonna have a good fourth quarter royalty, man.
And then
both of these.
Yeah, it's excellent. These are the hardcover, softcover we talk about.
Yeah, those will be the last.
This was just I just bring backup stuff just in case. This is the silent. I don't know if you guys did an episode.
I don't remember. We might have showed that off once, man. Yeah. So what we'll do? Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. If we breathe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll do this X-Men announcement. We'll do I Am Stan. We'll do this.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think this, like Frazetta's real good for our channel.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I think we'll go through this thing. If you just want to take a quick
love
look,
to, yeah.
It's a bunch of his
comics,
his old works, yeah.
Mix and match.
And then his wife gave me this book at the his little museum.
Yeah, that's such a great story. Like you've told it a couple times on here, and it is like it's so great.
She gave me the stack.
It's like the best possible outcome of like a visit to the Frazetta Museum.
And then I was thinking, like, man, was my hat brim close? And I actually think I was like this, and I'm like, my fucking big pointy ass nose, boop, set off the sensors, man.
The oils.
Just the fucking proximity. It was a proximity alert. And it was when I relayed that story on the channel. It's the Frazetta girls, like the granddaughters, like all represent them and stuff. And they were like, I fucking hated those alarms. I swear to God. Yeah. It's like triggered them, and they knew and they remembered. Like the granddaughters, like all represent them. And they were like,
oh yeah, I need it for reference too. Because I want to do the recent stuff.
Yeah,
like I don't want to put like old characters.
Yeah, and I just do whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those like, Frank Miller Dark Knight 3 covers that are all just stuff from Dark Knight 1,
Right. Yeah, and I just do whatever.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, and I sent you a thing of of all the PDFs.
Yeah, sure,
and stuff.
yeah.
Man, I got so much stuff I want to show you. I got my daily strips.
That's looking good.
I got the animation stuff that I've been into. I created a full
that's fun too.
I got a full animation studio basically because with the Kfabe lights, you push the lights down, you tape the peg bar here, you use this thing.
Okay.
I have 2 bits of software where I can use the iPad as like the shutter.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you don't bump the fucking.
Right. Yeah. You're not. Okay.
Yeah. So I got like everything required to just I could do a motion picture, like a feature film.
I mean, once you got a phone,
so that you don't
like
bump the fucking,
you should make movies. It's just we were kind of busy doing other stuff. But it's like at this point, why not? You know.
So what I want to do is just like every spare second that I have is I want to create an animated trailer for that daily strip, and like if I can just get that done fast enough, like the way that I am putting the trailer together. In order to shoot the sequences, because it's very laborious, I need to like get the character in frame and out.
Yeah.
Like I need it to start white, together, like a blank sheet of paper, and then I need it to end that way. Each sequence, and when I have like a full moment, then I can sit down and fucking shoot that at once.
Well, your things are they're like the Winsor McKay animation.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So when I have like a full moment, like think Mike Judge.
Okay.
It's very steeped in the '90s, so it's like '90s animation aesthetic.
Right, something that would be on liquid television.
Exactly.
Yeah, like on for like the Total Recall channel, like the biggest video is I just did the Alan Moore. I read as Alan Moore, and it's the animation. It's any animation in it is just 2 frames. It's just like
and like that's a key piece of kayfabe with this stuff, because like when I want to stutter a moment, you can choose to use one drawing. Like you might remember that like when you would watch like a Simpsons or something when they would have like a duh, but you could tell it was clearly one drawing that they just held for a while. It becomes dead in a way. But like the trick is trace that same drawing one more time and go back forth, and let it vibrate, let it oscillate a little bit for a while. And it's just 2 drawings, one extra drawing.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just go back forth.
Labor saving.
Yeah,
but it goes a long way.
There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of tricks to kind of, and then you draw stuff that you just have never drawn. Because I draw the character impacting on the ground, and there's a couple drawings where there's drawings that you never fucking would do. It's not a human thing. It's an energy thing.
That's I think Kirby doing like in-betweening animation really helped with all that stuff of like buildings being destroyed and stuff. He does it better than anybody. You know, or a car being peeled apart. I think Kirby doing like in-betweening animation really helped with all that stuff of like buildings being destroyed and stuff.
Yeah, gotta give shouts to the kayfabers out there off the bat, man, because was talking with the people at Fantagraphics, and at their last projections, they're expecting about 20,000 of these omnibuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everything's just like building off of everything else.
Create that cyclical network, man. They're expecting about 20,000 of these omnibuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everything's just like building off of everything else.
Create that cyclical network, man. They're expecting about 20,000 of these omnibuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everything's just like building off of everything else.
Oh man, needed that week back from Japan to just get the head straight.
It's smart to like plan for that, you know, and not overcommit yourself. Like, okay, when I get back, I'm going to do this, but just like kind of, okay, I'm going to pass out for a week.
I tried to just get right back,
smart.
And it put my ass down for a couple of days.
Like, okay,
man, my 40-year-old body
I'm gonna pass
was like, nah.
I mean, just a long weekend will do that too. So like, you know, like a travel weekend. But I mean, I don't know how long you were away, but
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, that's a lot.
2 weeks, but the way the travel back home was 23 hours and 40 minutes from the point that the plane took off.
Yeah.
And that was at 5:40 something at night.
Yeah.
And we got up at 9 a.m. And we're at the airport by 11 or something like that. So like, what is that, man? 30-something hours of travel.
Right, you lost a day and probably didn't even realize it.
And well, that's
a day plus.
That's the trippy head fuck too, because like when we land, it's like 45 minutes before we left.
Right, you lost a day. And
you know that international dateline bullshit. And well, that's
a day plus.
That's the trippy head fuck too, because like when we land, it's like 45 minutes before we left. You know that international.
You know, you come back with a different perspective, and you know maybe some like magical stuff happens too.
Yeah, I got some great shit out there, dude.
Yeah,
I got some good manga, because like you come back with I just got the right people now. Like I sort of always have. You know, the people that brought me out the first time.
Right. Yeah.
They sort of gave me. I got some good manga. They gave me the cosign, you know, and I just have this Katamari Damashi ball of homies that just keeps growing and growing. Plus, I'm bringing people out. You know, Brian Moss was out there.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
And we're going out. He got a fucking Neo Geo while we were on the hunt.
I mean, I saw he was like in line for the new Zelda.
Oh yeah, it was a whole event.
It
was a whole event, man. Like it was like you couldn't like when you woke up that day while we were on the hunt and you left the hotel. He was, like, in line for the Zelda. All of Tokyo knew that Zelda was out that day. Yeah, everywhere. Like it was just.
Well, I mean, I remember seeing stuff like that in like Nintendo Power, where they'd be talking about like the new Dragon Quest game came out.
When they got to put it out on the weekend and shit like that, man, because like all the kids are fucking.
I mean, I remember seeing
putting thermometers on light bulbs
right, yeah.
to try to get to
school
stay
is
home.
empty.
Yeah. When they got to put it out on the weekend and shit like that, man, because like all the kids are fucking. So good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
And I would be offended if I don't see you in July.
Yeah, no, I'll be back.
Shit,
It's just sometimes stuff just doesn't work out. But yeah, it'd be good to see Jim too.
So good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
And I would be offended if I don't see you. Yeah, he's on the last leg of his vacation.
Yeah.
You know, we shoot 8 videos per week. And then so. We always have one in the chamber.
Right. Yeah.
He's on the last leg of his vacation. In the queue. And then you do that enough times, and then you can take 3 weeks off. You can take a handful of weeks off. And fucking
I mean, this is
live
like
life and be with your family a little bit.
It's the comic strip business model, kind of,
And I am entering into that model in a big giant way. Be with your family a little bit. Once I wrote the first arc. I'm going to do my stuff in like 20-page arcs, so like 20 strip arcs.
Okay.
So that yields a comic book, you know, a modern day 20-page comic book. If I choose to disseminate it that way. But I'm thinking of ganging the strips up 2 per page. It will be 8.5 by 11, like magazine size book. It can't be a squat comic because the lettering, I'm doing it big, so that it can be very legible on Instagram, in like JPEG format and stuff. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build probably like 60 to 90 of them before I put them out. And then just do it daily because I need to make up a lot of time for the bottleneck that is Cartoonist Kfabe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because my half of a Wednesday is invested in Kfabe, and then pretty much all of Thursday is invested into Kfabe.
Yeah.
So I have to make up for that bottleneck. That happens each week, and then pretty much Thursday. But it's also that thing too where so I have to make up for that bottleneck. I need to, just a repetition of drawing characters. Like I don't have my codified iconography.
Yeah, that works its way in. That works its way in.
Yeah. So that's my thought, man. You do 90 of these things. You're probably getting pretty close to what the regimen is, what the routine is. So like, I have no fear. Like I'm not worried about where the strip is right now. With all the 20 that I designed.
Yeah.
I got to do the finished drawing on the back 15. So I have no fear. Like I'm not worried. But I just know that it'll grow.
Yeah.
I keep reading just constant daily comic strips and shit, and it's like I got to do the finished drawing on the back. Lots of them they hit the ground running, but they really aren't what they become. Like Lil Abner starts off just dope. It's so good. It's so perfect. It's fast. It's like. Establish these hillbillies, get the hillbilly out of Dogpatch and into aristocracy, into New York within 5 strips.
That's Tarzan,
Yeah, totally. Get the
hillbilly. And I think like just like a smart thing that I think we've all like learned at this point is like just making peace with the fact that those early strips are like finding its feet, because so many people they're kind of like, oh, I got to go back and change all those early strips to make them, line up with like the later stuff. It's like, no, it's all part of the journey. Just because so many people,
but like my shit's gonna become tokusatsu elements. Like everything is in there. One of the big inspirations was fucking Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of. So all the stuff that's in there is on the table.
Right, everything. Yeah, everything.
For subject matter.
Sure, that's good.
Everything is in there. One of the big inspirations was fucking Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of. So all the stuff that's in there is on the table.
Right, everything. Yeah, everything.
For subject matter.
Sure, that's
Shouts
good.
to the Kfabers. We have. Oh, Ed is echoing on this video. Check the chat. So all the stuff that's in there is on the table. Right, everything. Yeah, for subject matter. Sure, shouts to the Kfabers. We. My bad, guys. See, that's what happens. That's what happens when we don't have the chat to monitor, man.
Okay.
We have the bottleneck. We only got one iPad going,
Yeah.
so we're back. So sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're spinning lots of plates here. And forgive me for my transgressions, flying solo with the AV. Were you in the AV club when you were a kid, man?
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. Like I was on this like very academic track, so a lot of
No nonsense.
high schools. Yeah, exactly. And I kind of regret some of it. Like I never like auditioned for like the high school play or anything. Like I wish I could have done that.
And you're such a ham.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm learning now. Is like that. I missed my calling. You know, I should have been doing that.
Stick to comics.
Yeah.
stick to comics. Do your little YouTube channel, and every so often bust out your keyboard with your homie and
Yes,
fucking belt
exactly.
out some tunes.
Exactly. I'm living my best life.
I need you guys to do Apocalypse Now if you haven't yet.
Apocalypse Now, the movie. Okay, yeah, no, that's a good.
I'm just rewatching
request.
it.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Heart of Darkness documentary?
Oh yeah. That's like the better movie.
It kinda is.
Yeah.
It kinda is.
That's happened so often where like the real masterpiece is like the thing about the thing.
I'm watching the actual theatrical version now because like I fucked with the Redux and like the final cut and stuff, and reading a bunch of articles, and they're like the theatrical is
That's
the
the way to
best.
go. Oh,
Like
that's interesting.
it's the shortest one.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, no nonsense.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen the most. But then like the Redux has like the French plantation scene, which
Exactly.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So you know, I don't know what's not in
Yeah.
this one. You know, like, and I do love the French plantation
Yeah.
scene. It's such a good sequence. That sound scared me.
Yeah, chainsaw.
Well, I just didn't know what it was. I'm like, is that liquid?
Oh, okay. I thought it was like Red Room chainsaw guy coming or something.
Jeez, man. You think you could hit that little thing?
Okay.
I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Let me just get my shadow out of the gimmick. Hit it. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piskor.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
Got some great work for you guys today. Big announcement for you guys today. But first, got to let you guys know about the Patreon. King Kayfaber's on our Patreon. Get access to our exclusive live stream recording sessions while we make our videos. And they get all the videos before anybody else, completely mitigating that kayfabe effect. But the vids are brought to you by the books that we make. Before you're looking at the bibliography of Jim Rugg and myself. Tom Scioli's in the house this round, man. Here's the free comic book day version of I Am Stan. When's that coming out, Tom?
It's coming out in August in comic book stores and September at all other retailers.
The author of Kirby, King of Comics, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, Fantastic Four Grand Design, and a whole bunches of other stuff. Out now, man. Red Room Crypto Killers issue number 1 is on the stands. Thank you guys so much for supporting it in such a big way. There are 2 volumes of hip hop of Red Room out there right now. Trigger warnings in the Antisocial Network. But the big thing that I want to promote is the Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus coming out toward the holiday season 2023. It is going to encompass all 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree. Give you 140 pages of additional material in there. And there are 4 volumes of hip hop out there, 3 volumes X-Men Grand Design, and the hardcover WYSIWYG. Jim Rugg has Street Angel Princess of Poverty forthcoming June or July of 2023. Companion Piece 2, Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive trade paperback. You get both of these trade paperbacks. You're getting all of Jim Rugg's Street Angel content to date. He's the author of Plain James and Hulk Grand Design. And with the Grand Design on the mind, there are 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design. And the big announcement, Tom, is that also for the holiday season of 2023, we are going to be collecting all 3 of these volumes into a trade paperback edition. The omnibus for X-Men Grand Design, that thing sold out in a second. That thing got posted, and everybody scooped it up. I was talking with the Marvel book collectors and book editors, and came up with the idea. Yeah, why not just strip away the back end like comic stuff?
Right. Okay.
That the recolors and things. Just have X-Men Grand Design ganged up together to be like a 300-page, solid, chunky book. I think this is going to be the cover. This imagery is going to be the cover. It will be like a trade paperback size. So if you're into the big books, get the big books, man. But I do know that some of the back end, like, maybe volume 2 or 3, has been out of print for some time. But very excited, man.
Yeah, that's an awesome announcement.
3-year labor of love. It was fun taking a detour from creator-owned comics to play around in the Marvel sandbox for a little bit. The idea with X-Men Grand Design was to like strip out the soap opera, have all the cool stuff happen at once, and see just how wild a ride that is.
Yeah.
And to my taste, man, it felt like a kind of a Fletcher Hanks comic. It felt very youthful in spirit, very wild, full of whimsy and imagination, and it was fun getting just all of that crazy shit. Sometimes an entire issue of an X-Men comic would be, 1 page of X-Men Grand Design.
Yeah.
You got to distill. The exercise was to distill about 8,000 pages of material from the original X-Men comics, about 300 issues of that, a couple issues of the adjectiveless X-Men, but there were numerous limited series and
all
things
kinds of random stuff
in the 80s, other ongoing series and things. So had to read through all of that material, distill it down, try to figure out what the heart of the story, what's the arc here.
Yeah, what's the arc of this thing that was created in an arbitrary nature to begin with?
Exactly.
So it's like a mystic journey.
And that was the fun of the exercise also, because for the typical Wednesday warrior who is very interested in continuity and things, it is arbitrary. These guys are making this stuff up every single month. This is churn and burn. Every 4 weeks you got to have a new comic done. Chris Claremont is famously on the record for saying that he wrote some stories, came up with some stories in 1 day. So they did some massaging with things like Classic X-Men, where they would add a fresh page of comics into the original canon. It would confuse people too, because like in one old Classic X-Men, they slipped in a page with Apocalypse in it, and there were people sending letters to Wizard Magazine. How come you say that Apocalypse's first appearance is X Factor this when I have this reprint of X-Men 105?
Yeah.
And it has Apocalypse in there. So rather than do like retcon like that where you just reprint stuff, let me just take the run of X-Men, knowing that there is a character who is Alex Summers' brother that shows up, 50 issues into
Plant
it.
the seed.
And put it in there up front.
Yeah.
So very excited, man, to get these volumes back in print.
Yeah, I mean, you created a perennial, and sometimes publishers don't cooperate with that. You create a perennial, but they don't treat it that way. But you created a perennial, so it's cool that they're keeping it going.
Absolutely, man. And I got to thank you guys for your contributions to the game, man. Fantastic Four Grand Design, that Rising Tide Raises All Ships.
Sure, yeah.
You put that book out. It sells more X-Men comics, man. Jimmy puts out Hulk Grand Design.
Yeah, keeps it fresh.
Sells more X-Men comics. Sells some Fantastic Four comics.
Right, exactly.
So with your efforts and things, man, you guys helped sell this thing out a whole bunch. You have a pattern when you have 3 of something, man. So the comic book culture out there, they know what it is. And if people were slow on the trigger and they weren't able to get their hands on the original volumes, they didn't know the work. Because like we got to do a lot of heavy lifting on our own to get the word out on our comics, and the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel was just popping off.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering what the timeline was there.
While I was on this one, man,
Yeah.
it was kind of funny because I was wrapping this up, and it might have just been even just the very, very last issue that I had to work on while Cartoonist Kayfabe was popping. Mm-hmm. But I saw the potential of the channel, and I saw how it was kind of fortifying our ideas when it came to selling our comics.
Sure, yeah.
We did very, very well, and I got very excited to be done with this.
Right, and really test the potential,
Yeah, and that's where Red Room comes into the mixture, dude, because the thought with that is that Red Room is a far-out idea that is going to turn a lot of people off. Mm-hmm. Just based on the subject matter and the vulgarity of it, the gore, all that stuff. So if I could sell that and do well, then I could maybe sell anything. Sure, I could sell my more popular ideas. Red Room is, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, 8, 9 Fantagraphics comics ever published. Mm-hmm. So numbers don't lie, you know what I'm saying? But X-Men Grand Design, they're calling it the trilogy. The X-Men Grand Design trilogy is coming out this holiday season. If you missed out on it, scoop it up, get it while it's hot. We're looking at 25,000 Hip Hop Family Tree omnibuses that are projected to be sold. So X-Men, 50? Should we do 50? What number should we do, Tom?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a numbers guy, so yeah, this is where Jim could come in handy. Mr. Mathlete. Yeah.
Have to let everybody know that this is coming out, man, and thank you guys so much. I'm not sure exactly what the paper stock will be. The hope is that it's going to be a kind of a matte paper. It would make sense, or even something like the omnibus edition, because they went away with the glossy paper that they use for everything else and sort of abided by this kind of matte stock. So the hope is they keep that energy up and support the book, man. Get it while it's hot this holiday season for the X-Men fan in your life. It's hard to put an X-Men comic into somebody's hand for the first time,
Yeah.
Like I made
Where
this
do you start?
I made this comic because people were like, well, where do I start with X-Men? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I have no clean, simple answer for you. So I made the thing. Mm-hmm. And it is the X-Men Grand Design trilogy coming out in time for the holidays. And without further ado, man, let's get back to some of our own comic book making. Tommy, like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell. We'll notify you when new vids are available. Hit the Patreon. You get all our vids well ahead of time. I'm going to have a link in the description below this video where you can pre-order the X-Men Grand Design trilogy. Tom, tell the people what you got forthcoming.
I got I Am Stan coming out. We got the Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics softcover coming out the same month as I Am Stan in softcover and hardcover simultaneous release. Going to be having a date coming up soon, announcement for Jack Kirby's Star Warriors starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. That announcement will be coming up soon. And then check out my YouTube channel, Total Recall Show, and support my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Sholey.
Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus coming out in time for the holidays. 504 pages of content. There is going to be 140 pages of additional material that is not in those first 4 volumes. This is Red Room Crypto Killers #2. It is going to be forthcoming. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit. Issue 1 is on the stands as we speak. This is going to be the last 4-issue run of Red Room for quite some time. There are 2 trade paperbacks. What's so funny?
Banned in 26 countries. I love it.
We're going for 50. We're going for 50, and we might
banned
just do
in 50 states.
There are a couple of trade paperbacks for Red Room out there. 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree, 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design, and WYSIWYG. Jim Rugg has Hulk Grand Design, Plain Jane's, Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive, and forthcoming is Street Angel Princess of Poverty. That covers our books. We have merch, all kinds of other stuff in the links in the description below. We have a Patreon. I have a Patreon. Tommy, give them those marching orders. Let's get out of here.
Make more comics.
Cool. Awesome. That's fun.
Seeing that band in 26 countries make me think R.I.P. Jerry Springer. You know?
Yeah.
In the spirit of Jerry Springer. Too hot for comic shops.
Did you ever? It's recent. The Dark Side of the '90s.
No, I've heard of it. I want to check it out.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Also, is a documentary called Kid 90. You hear about this one? It's Soleil Moon Frye.
Okay.
When she was a kid, she just like did everything with a camcorder in hand.
Oh, nice.
And so like they took all that footage, and she weaves this tale of growing up with fame and going through the 90s, because you know those precocious kids. It's all the same, like it's all the same kid actors for so long.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know?
Yeah. Because you see them in the same. They'll be like all in an episode at different strokes.
Exactly.
And then they're on the Wonder Years.
The Silver Spoons kid.
Yeah.
Fucking that kid with the earring that was on 90210, the something Scott Green. Whatever.
Yeah, Brian Scott Green.
Like he was a little shit. Alfonso Ribera, like
Yeah.
all those. And so like she's in with that crew.
Yes.
And you see them going to Disneyland as kids, doing all that shit. But then, you know, growing up and kind of like losing the fame and all, and then like as the craziest plot twist of the whole shit, she puts herself through school, goes to NYU, and moves to New York and becomes friends with like the dudes who were in that movie Kids.
Oh, okay.
So she's kicking it with Casper and Harold. Like both those dudes died of like heroin. You know?
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. They
Didn't know anything about that.
long gone. But just seeing her with like the kids crew and shit.
Right.
Like that,
Yeah. It's like
and with their heavy New York accent. Oh man, kicking it with Punky Brewster. I'm kicking it with Punky Brewster. Casper, the dopest ghost.
the dopest old ghost in town. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love when that stuff pops up because like Val Kilmer has one of those where it's like just all old. You know, he had a camcorder since like the 80s or whatever. There's the Kanye West one.
Yeah, they're
there's
so good.
A Coldplay one. It's so cool. And it's like, why not? Like, yeah, it was the 90s. Tons of people had camcorders, you know.
Yeah, the Kanye one's so fascinating because it's like that dude really believed in himself and is like has no money, he lives in a shit apartment, but is like has the wherewithal to like get a dude to follow him around.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta just see, man. I think this is my grass, dude. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta go see
Okay. Sure.
because I being gone, I haven't paid him for a couple of
Okay,
weeks, so
yeah.
I gotta get that guy some money.
Hey, this thing, if we do end up wanting to talk about it, the only thing that's secret about it is the publisher. Everything else is out there and has been announced. So
Cool.
So
Cool.
it's on the table.
Yeah, because I don't even know the exact deal with
Yeah.
with what that is or anything like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I haven't talked to you guys about it. So yeah, if you want to talk about it, if we got the time, it's pretty cool. It's fun. I think your audience will like really understand it because it's like very comics specific.
Alright, man, many apologies. My dude's supposed to know not to come on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do?
Yeah, it's ambient noise. Some atmosphere.
Alright, man. Hit that button, dude. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piscor.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
Jim Ruggs on location. Got to let you guys know that we have a Patreon for Cartoonist Kayfabe. Hit the link in the description below this video, and you'll be able to subscribe and become a King Kayfaber. What that gets you is live stream recording sessions while we produce these videos, and you get all the videos well ahead of time before anybody else. The vids are brought to you by the books that we make. You're looking at the bibliography of Jim Rugg and myself. Almost up to date, but we've got some stuff forthcoming. Street Angel, Princess of Poverty, going to be coming out this summer. It is going to be the companion piece to Street Angel, Deadliest Girl Alive, and both trade paperbacks will comprise all of Jimmy's Street Angel material to date. He is the artist behind Plain Janes and the creator of Hulk Grand Design. The Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus is coming out in time for the holidays. 504 pages, comprising of all 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree, plus 140 pages plus of additional art and supplemental materials. Lots of art created exclusively for this book to kind of tie it all together as an entire unit. Please support that project. The new Red Room is coming out on a monthly basis. This is the cover to Volume 1, cover to Volume 2. Cover to issue 2. It's called Crypto Killers. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game. Each story completely self-contained. There are 2 Red Room trade paperbacks out there to date, Antisocial Network and Trigger Warnings. I'm the author of Hip Hop Family Tree, 4 volumes of that, 3 volumes X-Men Grand Design, which is going to be getting a collection in time for the holidays, and WYSIWYG. And today we are taking a look at the free Comic Book Day comic version of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee by King Kfaber, Tom Scholey. Congratulations on this achievement to begin with, Tom. This fucking comic, this book here, is a masterpiece. And I do not use that term lightly. We're going to have to do a bigger video on the entire book, probably closer to publication date. And me and Jim might have to do it privately and stuff, man, so that we don't get the urge to fucking yank your pants down and just fucking service you fully. But it's the best comic to come out of Pittsburgh to date, and it has created a situation where I have to step on my game in a big way, and also use the fact that you got some years on me, man, so I have some time to practice and things, you know?
Yeah, pat yourself on the back with that one. But, it goes by fast.
Yes, sir, man. Fantastic work. Like, the growth from the Jack Kirby book and the density of the Jack Kirby book to the place that you arrived with this Stan book, there's some shit that happened in between that I think is worth discussing a little bit. I think we talked about a little bit of that in the shoot interview we did with you when we announced that this was going on. When this was collected this past free comic book day, I think that the publisher chose probably the best sequence to share for free with Gen Pop at direct market comic book shops. Man, the Wednesday Warrior crowd. This is the piece that they're gonna fucking jerk off all over, and it begins off the bat with Fantastic Four's out. So we need to get another bite of that apple. How do we do that, man? And one of the things that you do whenever they're kind of spitballing ideas, this is very clever, and it just speaks to where your mind is, man. It speaks to your intellect as a cartoonist. because we're not seeing any tails on any of these balloons. Right. That feels very deliberate.
You know, that was the toughest part of this was that, you know, like I have my ideas about maybe who I think came up with what and who did what, but like, you know, people read these comics and then like you've probably had this too with like hip hop. All of a sudden, there's like scholarly articles that are like quoting things from your book. Right. So the pressure's on. And if I have a comic panel where there's a tail going to Jack Kirby's mouth or going to Stan Lee's mouth, and it's saying like, you know, oh, let's, you know, gamma rays or something. It's like, you've just committed that to the record, that you've created this book where it says, you know, Jack Kirby came up with gamma rays or Stan Lee came up with gamma rays. And it's like, you know, it becomes it becomes treated as though it's part of the record. So I had to come up with a way of having these guys have these kind of conversations and not put down in ink on paper that like, okay, here's the guy who really did, because it you know, it does become like a source.
Yes.
You know, so you got to be careful. And again, we're coming from a cartoonist space. Like we've done our nonfiction comics, but you know, we didn't start out there, and so it's like, you know, it's just a different level of responsibility that you have. So this was a solution to that, you know.
And it is there's thematic rhythm to this sort of idea whenever they come up with a new concept for a comic book. Mm-hmm. And of course, as you read these, it's almost like that page one of the All-Star Superman where it's like Grant Morrison is distilling down the origin of Superman in like 4 quick panels,
Doom's
4 sentences.
Planet. Yeah.
So as you read these, it becomes a fun piece of the thing where it's like, we know what you're talking about, just with the explanations of, you know, the character, and you're subtle about it, man, and you know, incredible. Of course, we know where that's going, and then you give us that little build. There's so much that happens in these books, and you find just this is so readable.
Right. Yeah, that was a big. I mean, a lot of this stuff is very deliberate, and it's, you know, sort of things that I sort of decided on before I even got started. You know, some of it develops in the making, but some of it was like, I want to make a very readable comic. I want to make a relaxed, easy, enjoyable reading experience. And again, like things I'd been working on prior to, like, I've done hundreds of pages of comics between Jack Kirby and this. So you're seeing a lot of those lessons apply here.
What color is that line that you're using?
The line, it's
like an orange?
No, it's brown. It's like a dark brown that's got like some tooth to it, but it's just like a color I arrived at that just, you know, felt appropriate.
Yeah, and explain that idea of like the black line and computer color and all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, it's just something that I sort of arrived at, and like if you look at like artists, like any comics artist who started out working out on newsprint, their work never looks as good off of, like when you take none of them. I can't name one of that whole thing. And like the people who are are good at the sort of post newsprint, you know, digital colors are usually people who entered the game after that, like who never like set foot on like newsprint. But it's just that all of a sudden when we switched technologies and switched ways of coloring comics and went, you know, to like this digital process, all of a sudden the default line became this rich black line, and it was a completely new aesthetic to comics. And to me, it was a completely new aesthetic that you need to make a lot of adjustments for this new aesthetic, and nobody was making the adjustments. They were just sort of applying the old stuff to this new technology. And I mean, and it took me at least a decade to come to this realization, because I was doing it too. Yeah. And I did, like, it was just invisible to me because I had to sort of, and I realized that, the history of comics has never had a rich black line until like 1990, whatever, you know.
You could look on social media nowadays, man. Jose Villarrubia has been doing recolors, showing how he would kind of remaster the great, you know, Silver Age comics from Marvel. So he'll put 3 examples. You know, he'll put a scanned version of the original. Yeah. And then he'll do his version in the middle, and he'll show you what the current reprints are that we are hypercritical about. Sure. You know, the pure white paper, black ink with the very, very saturated colors. And what he does is so fantastic, but he keeps that pure black line from the line art, and it does it highlights what you're explaining.
Yeah.
Like that black line is still divorced. So like, though he uses great color sense and good noise and things, still having that black line to me is an illustration of like that last part doesn't work, and it bolsters what you're saying about that black line.
Yeah, and that that's kind of become the default. Like my preferred mode for these reprints is the photograph, the high quality photograph, 100%. And what he's doing, and I think that black line speaks to artists, that rich black line, because a lot of artists, like a lot of cartoonists, are like, I want to see what John Buscema was doing. Like you, and it's like that's of interest to artists. You do want to see that underlined, but it's like if you want to make create a reality, create a convincing reality, that black line takes away from that. That black line shows you technique, shows you, but it doesn't create like a cohesive whole that you can get lost in, and I think it's invisible to a lot of people.
Because you're the author of Jack Kirby, Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Stan Lee, can't help but have like Rashomon parts, parts to your works at this point. So here we have like an origin of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Here we have the Jack Kirby origin of Spider-Man. This is more ethereal. This is like there's no internal monologue.
Right. Yeah.
But
this is closer to film because you're sort of witnessing events unfold, and it's an external reality that you're witnessing. This is a very subjective narrative.
Yeah. So it is two different storytelling styles. I feel like seeing where your color has grown. Like you need to see your stuff in print. And then make adjustments, and your work has always been that way. It's always been more and more refined and things, man. But there's our Kirby, Spider-Man origin story, and it was important to you can't shy away from this. And it was some of Kirby's like most controversial statements in his Gary Groth interview is about how he created everything, and including Spider-Man and things like that. So like it's in here.
Yeah, and it's hard because like it's hard enough to make a comic, but this was like my first time making a comic where I also had to, see how it lines up with a previous comic I made. All of a sudden I'm part of like a continuity, where that was never an issue before.
There's a great index and director commentary in the back of the final book to explain where you got some of this intel from these back and forth conversations that just it bolsters your project, man. It's good artillery. Whatever, some scholars get involved and are like, yo, where'd you get that?
Yeah, and because some of this stuff, like with the Jack Kirby book, it becomes educational, like it becomes used in classrooms and stuff like that. So you got that extra level of responsibility too, something you don't have with like doing a Spider-Man comic or.
I have to imagine with pieces like this and pieces like this, this is a comic that is able to be produced much easier with the advent of like the iPad or something than it would have been previous.
Yeah, I mean the iPad's like completely changed my approach, and you got to sort of see the last days of me working on paper, and it does change. And there's things that I would do on paper that are just so much easier to do like with an iPad now, because I would do multiple redrawings and light boxing and things like that, and the iPad just makes that seamless. I
feel like this is like a piece like sort of lost to time. That Steve Ditko's the creator of the Corner Box.
The Corner Box, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, he suggested and showed up with for Spider-Man, and then it's like, yeah, let's do this on all the books.
I love that you chose this one too, because it really is like one of these is not like the other. You forget that they're Millie the model and whatever else.
Yeah, they had. I mean, it was a line. It was a whole line of magazines. It is like that's like a little sidebar that's kind of interesting is how Stan kind of adjusted the line to his tastes, because eventually he gets rid of like the Millie the models and things like that, and it's like because of his personal taste. But it's like if you want to probably would have made sense to keep that going.
Are you hand lettering these courier bits?
Everything's hand lettered. Yeah, so I'm hand lettering, typing, and man, like you probably know that like the lettering is so much fun. Like once you cross over to that world, it becomes so much fun. And such an important part of comics. And so hand lettered balloons bleeding into hand lettered typing.
I thought this little piece of dialogue was real slick about, because we know the origins, we know the Kayfabe Stan Lee origin of the Marvel line with Fantastic Four, with Jack Leibowitz, Marty Goodman,
the golf
game, and Goodman discovering how popular Justice League is, telling Stan Lee we need to do something like that, and that's the creation of Fantastic Four as the legend goes. And this line here, well, Martin always wanted a Justice League. Now we're giving him one.
With the event, because it's like if he's asking for a Justice League, Fantastic Four is not it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to, like, it's a super group, so like you have to have these established guys, and then you have your super group. And I've never seen anybody put the connection of like Avengers with that initial conversation. So that's a good piece. Does that come from history, or is that artistic license?
I mean, no, that is that is part of the conversation. Like people who know this era and talk about it, that is part of the conversation, that like Avengers was kind of finally, it was like a quickie they had to bat out, but it like finally delivered on this thing that, from all reports, Martin was asking for.
We take for granted nowadays, man, that you could like type in your favorite cartoonist name into YouTube and see them be interviewed, or see them at conventions, or pop their name into Google image search and you get to see them. Did you have reference for like a Dick Ayers and some of these early guys?
I mean,
did you have to make any of them up?
I mean, some of the early guys, not make up, but I'm looking at all these photos, and maybe I'm looking at a photo of them at age 60 and stuff, and so I'm like trying to find and like mentally de-aging them and stuff. I mean, Dick Ayers, like you do have the there's like an issue of where you get like the it's almost like the bullpen yearbook. It's like, late 60s, and you see photos, and there's, there's like, young Jim Steranko, and like all the, and some of the office workers and stuff. So, you could see like Dick Ayers around this year. And some of these people I've met in person, so I kind of, have some sort of sense of their, real world physicality.
I remember when Drew Friedman put out his book that I think it was the first like Masters of Comic Art book, the one where he's doing portraits of like the old like golden age cartoonists and things, the one with Kirby and Stan Lee with the 2-page spread. And there was a conversation at SPX amongst like the more senior pros. I think Art Spiegelman was in the conversation and was like, yo, dude, you didn't paint Bernie. That's not Bernie Krigstein.
He drew somebody else.
No, I think it has been agreed upon that it is, but somebody was confused. You know what I mean? Like, but there was confusion. There was a back and forth. Like,
well, sometimes you get pictures of these guys, and like maybe they had a weird haircut for like one day,
right.
And then it grew out, and they never looked like that again. It does have weird lighting and stuff. So yeah, it is interesting, and like like the ancient history of Marvel, like these timely guys, that stuff. I mean, that's probably where I learned the most, like digging deep in there. But yeah, there's all these,
What's the choice of the widescreen kind of format?
It's just like my preferred mode at this point. Like you go through different, and it just, to me, like that's like the most readable way to make a comic book. And that's and it just goes the 6-panel grid, like Myth of 8 Opus, and so like that was my because that was the Kirby mode, and it's like that's not an optimal reading experience. This is like it's Frank Miller, it's some manga and stuff, but like when in doubt, that's the way to go. And there's like an unpublished Barry Windsor Smith Conan story that's done this way, and it's like everybody's work just gets so elevated when they work this way. Also, we're so accustomed to making these like little squares or little tall things that's like the default. So if you want to kind of break up your habits and kind of figure out like new ways of doing things, the widescreen, because the widescreen really it just worked so well. And again, I just sort of arrived at that in my sort of experimenting and stuff on like the stuff that's on my Patreon.
Is Roy Thomas and Jim Steranko the last of this generation?
Surviving? Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, Larry Lieber's still alive.
Wow.
Larry Lieber, he's the the last piece of history, I guess.
Yeah, it's wild. I bring that up because like lots of people in the underground have passed away. Like every year, there's like 3, 4, 5, and these are the cartoonists of like the 70s. Like
I mean,
80s.
Barry Smith is their contemporary too, so he's still. So, but yeah, it is like it's disappeared. Like again, it's kind of sobering seeing it in like music when it's like David Bowie and then Prince and then Tina Turner,
right?
Like, because and these were, when I was a kid, they were sort of like mature talents. Like they'd had their like 60s stuff and it was like the 80s, but like these were the people who were popular when I was a kid. So it's like if they're dropping dead,
yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah,
super scary, man. Got our Bill Everett. So like once again, shouts to 10 Speed Press, man, for choosing the best stuff for the direct market. When it comes to this free comic book day, because we're playing the hits.
Yes.
With this free comic book
and yeah,
day.
they picked this excerpt. I didn't pick this excerpt. They picked it and then said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I'm like, "You guys hit a home run. This is it." And like where it ends is so perfect too.
Yeah, totally, man. The origin of Stan's soapbox. like this is something that you read in history and were able to put together, and it's something that we all take for granted.
Yeah.
Of course, there has to be an origin to the idea of that, man. We were born into this, and we just have always known it was there. But of course, that would be a part of his story because it's a part of his salesmanship, which is probably his greatest strength.
Yes, yeah. And you'll see this in this. And then this is one that kind of, because the Voices of Marvel record and stuff, to me, it's like this, like everybody knows about that. But out of this free comic book day thing, I think that's the thing people grasped onto the most. It's like, what is this? I got to find out about this. I got to get this.
Yeah. That's the piece that I felt that way when I first read the Marvel Untold Tales book, like the Sean Howe Origin of Marvel book. And the way he described it was like you put on this record and you get to hear every borough of New York dialect in all of their voices, from Flo Steinberg to Wally Wood. And I immediately, like, we are blessed with YouTube and the internet, having access to all of this material. And you could easily cue this up on YouTube and give it a listen. And, it's verbatim here.
Yeah. And I love the Ditko aspect of it too. That
totally.
Like, Ditko did not want any part of it, so they write this thing where it's like, "Hey, there goes Steve Ditko out the window. Do you think he really is Spider-Man?" Yeah, a sound effect.
We got a John Romita appearance, man, and DC artist.
Yeah, John Romita is an interesting story because it's like, Stan had to basically, like, almost, not literally, but get on hands and knees. Like he was like wooing John Romita to like come back, because John Romita was like, "I'm done with comics. Like, I'm so over it, and maybe I'm done with you too, Stan." Because he was kind, because that layoff, it's not in this volume, but there's like when like everybody gets sort of like laid off at Marvel, and it it was pretty devastating, and you don't want to go through that again.
His old style was so interesting too, man. Those old Captain Americas, where you could tell that he's like leaning deep into the kniff.
Yeah.
With the drapery and the way that he builds his faces and stuff like that. And you see John Romita Sr. in any of like the DVD extras on all the Marvel movies from the aughts and stuff. He is lockstep company man guy. He is a salaried employee of the Marvel company, probably gets health insurance from the company by being art director. So to have this little piece where he isn't just like a full-on company man is an interesting dynamic, given what we know about him in history.
But if you take a step back, it is consistent, because it's like, comics is too unstable. I can't work. But then it's, Stan's trying to convince him, like, it's different now. We can give you, like a health plan and,
right.
Like that.
I mean, he did his freelancer stuff for a little while, but then became juiced in, as well as Virginia. Like the guys in the 70s, 80s, they lived in fear of Virginia Romita, man, if they were a little late on pages. This is probably a great piece of kayfabe. The idea of Stan Lee writing even through the black, how romantic.
Right, yes.
Right? But also one of those famous fucking Stan Lee stories.
Yes.
I got to show off just like one page of this thing, man, because
sure.
it's one of those great pieces, man. This page right here, where it's one continuing narrative through all iterations of Stan Lee. This is like the bookend to the entire project, man. And
it's like the thesis statement of the book, maybe.
Yeah, and it's so genius. You got your kind of Warholian aspect to it, man, wearing your Pittsburgh on your shoulders there, and all iterations of our guy, all evolutions, and illustrating that no matter which era, he's still, he's honing that fucking kayfabe.
That's the thing I got the most in the research. I mean, we kind of knew that, to some extent, but watching all these videos and stuff, you do hear him tell those same stories again and again, and he's refining them. It's like, oh, that, and maybe it'll be somebody suggesting something. Maybe it'll be like the interviewer saying like, oh, well, what if that? And then a couple years later, that's part of the story. You know,
that's a good Wally Wood right there, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Wally Wood's fun to draw.
Yeah.
He is really fun to draw.
Yeah, I drew him for that illustration ale beer label, and then
you've drawn all these guys. You drew Stan Lee. You know, you do a great Stan Lee.
In the roughs of my beer label, man, I gave him a shoulder holster.
Yeah.
And you cannot have guns on an alcoholic beverage label.
Guns, alcohol, and firearms. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That.
You can't have the guns, and you can't have any jingoism.
Okay.
Like there's stuff that you associate with America, Budweiser or whatever, but there's no flag.
Okay, no literal. Yeah, no, because it is like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's what I meant. Like that's this stuff is very regulated.
It's a good story though, man. That's the one that Wally Wood, the Daredevil that he writes himself. Yeah. That's an example of an artist actually speaking up about. Yeah. Listen, this approach you have, where you're having us do 50% of the writing labor. I'm not getting paid for that.
Yeah, and you see what happens to him. He gets spit out by that system.
And within this Free Comic Book Day comic, as he's taking on all of this burden of all of this work, writing all these strips, it becomes a thing where, goes back and forth with the guys, writes up a page, gives it to them, lets them do their thing. And then eventually it just becomes, you do your thing and I'll take care of it in the end.
Yeah. That Wally Wood stuff, like we were talking about the Wally Wood Daredevil stuff here, like on camera around the same time I was working. So that was some nice synergy.
Yeah, going on. That's good. Some of the controversy about the Galactus trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of that era where it's kind of like a second renaissance within this like Marvel renaissance, where it's like you get this second wave of characters like the Inhumans and Silver Surfer and all that kind of stuff. And it's debatable how much Stan Lee and how much Jack Kirby the earlier stuff is, but from all accounts, this is like Kirby self-driven, kind of like, here's the Inhumans, here's
yeah, and that's how you build it. How you build it. Like Stan Lee is totally taking a back seat, just doing his bit at the end, his famous puzzle piece,
doing the crossword or whatever, putting it together. And again, that there is genius in there too, like that is Stan's genius, and that's why I think it's so nice the way this ends, right? Like this excerpt. And that is an important ingredient. And you read a Wally Wood, Thunder Agents, that ingredient is not there.
Yeah, it is absolutely true. Same with the Kirby books.
The Kirby stuff, yeah.
I love Kirby's writing himself.
Yeah.
But
there's a little something extra that's just not there,
It's true. I love the little Buscema bits that we got in here. That's the cool thing about this project, man, is you get to spend it's rather than just be inside of Kirby's head all day, a singular creator, a cartoonist who is basically sitting by himself doing a lot of stuff. We got Stan Lee interacting with lots of people. Yeah,
Stan Lee, he is like if you know that era, there's those like Tony Randall movies and stuff from like the 60s and stuff, and it's like, where it's like office life and like secretaries and a revolving door of people coming in and out. It's kind of like that's the Stan Lee milieu. Like that's like maybe like his imagined version of what he's in, but it is like a lot of people coming in and out of there, where Jack Kirby's in his basement. Maybe in California when people started making pilgrimages to his house, you get a little more of that, but Stan's office is a revolving door.
So we're ending the Free Comic Book Day comic with Ditko splitting.
Yeah.
It gets to the point, we see a whole arc in this volume. It begins with Steve Ditko getting an opportunity to flesh out Spider-Man and to make it his own. The Kirby version a little too close to the Fly. Let's jazz it up, do a little something different. There's back and forth between Ditko and Lee for a while, and then there's not. Then it gets to the place of Ditko just turning in his pages and having nothing to say to Stan Lee and vice versa. Then we get to this page where Ditko's done. Ditko's gone. Stan Lee isn't even willing to speak with the man.
Yeah.
Walks right to the other end of the office, man, to Jazzy John Romita.
You're up.
And is like, guess what, dude? You stepped up in a big way for me when Wally Wood left Daredevil, or Joe Orlando, or however that worked out. You're on Spider-Man now.
Yeah, and Ramita, like every step of the way is like a reluctant hero or whatever, because he's like, I can't do it, I'm not gonna. It's like in Casino or something, where like the guy, when he talks you out of the job you're trying to offer him every time, but like he eventually does it, and then we're off, and then here
there it is, man. That last page that we looked at, it was all the stuff that needs to be tied up to get us out of Ditko era, man. And they were teasing shit for so long.
Yeah,
the Green
the
Goblin,
tease, yeah.
The idea of Mary Jane was teased for a year, and so it's like, let's do it all. And this just would not be this if it was, we know what Ditko chicks look like.
Yeah, it is the beginning of a new era. And again, it's like ending on this note, because this is a book about Stan Lee. He's a controversial figure, all that, but he does have his genius, and maybe his greatest like contribution, like his literal greatest, might be that line,
That's one of them, man.
Yeah.
It's no with great power come great responsibility, but listen, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this has like more bounce. Like this has more person. Great power, great responsibility is kind of a it's a bromide or whatever. But this, not too many people could write "Face It, Tiger." You just hit the jackpot, as they walk in. Warts and all too, because it's kind of kitschy also. But
fantastic, man. When's the book coming out?
It's coming out in August in comic book stores, and in September to other retailers.
Hardcover and softcover at the same time, as well as a softcover of the Jack Kirby Epic Life of the King of Comics. Kfabers, like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so that we can notify you when new videos are available. King Kfabers on our Patreon get to witness the live stream recording sessions that we conduct to make a week's worth of videos, and they get all the videos well enough ahead of time before anybody else, completely mitigating that kayfabe effect. But these vids are brought to you by the books that we make. You're taking a look at our bibliographies right there. The Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus is coming to you in time for the holidays, man. 504 pages of comic material plus 140 pages of additionals, including fresh art drawn exclusively for this book. This is all going to be gold leaf, by the way, man. Very reflective
nice.
and shit.
I love
Yeah. The gold is for the money and the green is for the honey, or vice versa. There's a new round of Red Room coming out. First issue is out there in the wild right now. Red Room Crypto Killers 1. Here's the cover for Red Room Crypto Killers 2. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit. There's going to be 4 issues in this last run. 2 trade paperbacks of Red Room are out there right now. The Antisocial Network and Trigger Warnings. There are 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design out there, but there will be a forthcoming X-Men Grand Design trilogy trade paperback collection in time for the holidays. WYSIWYG is out there. Tom also has Fantastic Four Grand Design, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, GoBots. What else? Godland is still in circulation.
Yeah, American Barbarian is still in print.
American Barbarian, Jim Rugg, Street Angel Princess of Poverty. Get this book when it comes out this summer. It's the companion piece to Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive. Having both volumes will comprise of all of Jimmy's Street Angel comics to date. He is the creator of Hulk Grand Design and the artist behind Plain Janes. Scoop up the Stan Lee book as it comes out. It is an absolute masterpiece in comic book making. We will do a bigger video on the entire book closer to the date that the comic comes out. Pat yourself on the back, Tom Shieley. You created a fantastic work with this Stan Lee project. People are going to freaking love it. Give the Kfabers the marching orders so we can get out of here.
Make more comics.
Yeah, dude, I really am super proud of you, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Super proud of you. I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, sure, that's yours.
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were in there when I was thinking of you guys when I was working on it too. I'm like, I wonder what they're gonna think of this. I'm always sending you guys stuff as I work on it, and sometimes, like with some of it, like GoBots or Fantastic Four Grand Design, I send it to you guys wondering like, okay, they didn't tell me I'm losing my mind, so that's good.
Let's do it. Let's because I don't see me or Jimmy getting this.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Well, maybe you'll change your mind after this video.
Yeah. I hate the way this fucking thing.
What, the
like
lag?
The lag is such bullshit.
Yeah, I don't remember this lag before.
True definition of bloatware.
Yeah.
Where it was a perfect thing, and you paid one price for both of them forever. They changed to a subscription model, and they fucked it up.
Yeah.
They fucked up the monitor. It was 1 for 1. Like, you would
That's
be able to go
awesome,
like this and fucking see here, but you look at that lag.
A couple seconds.
It's significant, man. But just that typical bloatware thing that they do with software these days. And maybe it's necessary as they reiterate the iPhone and keep building that. Maybe you got to keep doing weird shit. All right, let me just try to remember where things are. Boom, boom, boom. I don't like... Yeah, that's probably a little better.
Yeah, you're going to want to see some, like, smudge and gray and, you know...
Yeah, like, I should probably open it and make sure. Fuck, those pencils ain't bad.
Well, yeah, you found the highlight.
Okay.
You found the showstopper.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too bad you're spoiling it for yourself. Because you got to go on this journey with me.
I will, man. I look forward to it. Is the Pac-Man issue in here?
It's unfortunately not in pencil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hit that for me, dude. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piskor.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
Got a great one for you today, but first got to let you guys know about the Patreon. The King Kayfabers on the Cartoonist Kayfabe Patreon get access to all our videos ahead of time, completely mitigating that Kayfabe effect. They also get access to the live stream recording sessions while we are producing these videos, and it creates a great little back and forth within the Cartoonist Kayfabe community. The vids are brought to you by the books that we make. Tom forthcoming has the I Am Stan graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee coming out to you towards the end of summer. August, yeah. August time, man. This comic is a masterpiece. We've done videos on it so far. We'll do bigger videos when the thing comes out, but you got to pre-order. You got to get your hands on this book when it comes out. You're looking at the bibliography of Jim Rugg and myself. Jimmy did Hulk Grand design. He's the artist behind Plain Janes. Street Angel is the comic he's been working on for about 20 years. Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive is out there right now. Street Angel Princess of Poverty is what's forthcoming in the summer here in 2023. Scoop up those works and support Jim so that we can keep these vids going. I'm going to have Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus coming to you in time for the holidays this year. 504-page comic with 140 pages of additional materials, lots of additional art that I drew specifically for this book. There are 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree out there. There are 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design, and we're collecting all of X-Men Grand Design into a trilogy trade paperback that's going to be out in time for the holidays also. Red Room is the current focus of my energies, and that's the cover to Red Room Crypto Killers #2. Issue 1 is fresh out on the stands. Please scoop up these comics. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit. These are horror comics that stand on their own. So if you see a random issue out there, scoop it up, give it a shot. If you dig it, grab another. And Tom has already done Jack Kirby biography comic. It's going to be coming out in paperback around the same time as the Stan Lee book. He's the author behind American Barbarian, Fantastic Four Grand Design, GoBots, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, and a number of other things. But while we're here today, we are going to be looking at the graphite edition of Destroyer Duck. Tom, how many issues does this thing comprise?
I think 5 or 6. But you know, like we have a history with Destroyer Duck because that was part of like that first video,
the proto Kayfabe video.
Yeah, when we're in the comic shop and stuff. You know. Good
luck trying to find a copy for $1 anymore, man.
Yeah. And so here it is. This, like, and, you know, hats off to Tomorrow's, because this is some niche stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know what the demand is out there for a, you know, Destroyer Duck graphite edition book of the pencils, but I'm in that audience. And this, the presentation is just great. They had a lot of decisions they had to make in this volume, and really well done. And the one of the standout things in it, we get Steve Gerber's script.
Yes,
Steve Gerber's script. You get to read it, and I hold Destroyer Duck #1 in very high regard. I think it's a great comic, and possibly Kirby's greatest comic. It's in the running. There's a lot of reasons for that. We get Steve Gerber's script, and it's Marvel style. So he's telling a story in there, but it's really up to Jack to kind of, do it his way. And this Gerber script is amazing. And I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, hey, I don't really remember that part. And I don't because Jack leaves out a lot. Like on the cover, there's Destroyer Duck fighting these 3 guys. One of them's high tech, one of them's a ninja, one of them's like a mafia guy. It's an amazing sequence described in here. Jack Kirby leaves it out entirely. And there's a lot of stuff in this script where Gerber's like, okay, Jack, my apologies, but the next couple pages are going to be 7-panel pages. My apologies. There's no 7-panel pages in the finished book. Because Jack Kirby, this was a freebie. This was, Destroyer Duck was, number 1, the lawsuit edition, was a way to pay for Steve Gerber's lawsuit against Marvel Comics for the rights to Howard the Duck. And so he had the difficult task, and Mark Evanier tells the story in this book, of asking Jack Kirby to draw a comic for him for free. Jack Kirby was very generously agreed to it. He liked the idea of sticking it to Marvel. But what I realized seeing these pencils is that Jack Kirby's got his way of drawing a comic when he's getting paid, and then his way of drawing a comic when it's, hey, I'm doing a favor for you. And so this is it, because I was looking at this. Now, again, this is a showstopper, this double-page spread. Now, in the Steve Gerber script, Jack is supposed to convey all of this information in the first splash page. Now, if you look at that first splash page, it's very simplified, very like the rendering is very crude and stuff. And I was kind of thinking like about the dates. I'm like, where does this line up for? Like, is this later than I thought or whatever? But it's like, no, Kirby did much more like rigorous work on later stuff. He does have work that kind of, starts to fall off towards the end, but it comes much later. It comes in like, 85, 86. This is 80, 81. So I was really seeing like, oh, this is Jack Kirby's like, oh, here's a gift way of drawing. Now, Jack Kirby is such a pro, such an amazing artist that everything in this comic is there. Now, this double page spread is the exception. This is a showstopper. This is great. But he was just not interested, especially for no money at all, not interested in doing that really hard stuff at his advanced age of drawing super detailed stuff in like little panels. Maybe if Gene Colan was working on this, or like I realized what a good collaborator Gene Colan was with, because Gene Colan was sort of game for anything. But that doesn't mean this is a bad comic. Like, again, like I said, like Jack Kirby gives you it's not pretty, but he gives you everything you need.
Yeah, you could tell that he's trying to figure out this duck face. Like,
yeah, and I'm not
there's no confidence in any of that.
I'm not 100% sure that we're actually seeing Kirby here. Right. It looks like maybe it was erased and then attempted by somebody else.
Yeah.
Because like later on we do see some more like Kirby kind of stuff. But like here, so that double page spread, Jack Kirby was like, I'm done. I got like real work I got to do. So he's cruising through here. Again, when you see the finished comic inked by Alfredo Alcala, Kirby knows where to put everything. So it reads great. And that sort of raw quality kind of works with the subject matter. It is, maybe like one of Kirby's most disturbing comics.
Right.
It's very weird.
Plucked of his feathers. That was part of the old video.
Yeah, and just the like, look at this bizarre face. The real proof that's in the pudding in here is that the issue 2 of Destroyer Duck, where Jack's actually getting, his rate, getting paid, is like Prime Kirby again. So like the rest of the issues are Prime Kirby. It's just this first like freebie that's again, it's a weird thing to say because it's still great. It's still amazing, but he's not like drawing at like the illustration level that he was doing the day before and the day after.
Yeah.
So that was a revelation here.
Yeah, it's so cool because I mean this is primal comics. Like we get to see like Jack Kirby's kind of primal comic technique to just like blast something out, because by all accounts people like Mark Avanier who recall seeing seeing Jack Kirby work. It's not that he was fast. It's the guy was okay with work until 4 a.m. and when he started working at 10 a.m. that same day. Like he would just put in
he was putting in the hours, and so that's what's missing here.
Yeah,
he's putting in all the essentials, but he's not like putting in those extra hours to like really polish it up. And again, I would argue that we have more than enough polish in comics.
Sure.
And what we don't have enough of is the sort of underlying life. And this comic is alive.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's alive.
I am disappointed in the Tomorrow's lettering
Right.
all over this thing. Like, why are we covering up Jack Kirby's pencils?
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand the choice they had to make. Like, is this an art show piece, or do you want to actually read it? I'm glad that they went ahead with actually... It's different. They did a graphite edition of Captain Victory. The difference is that it was Jack Kirby writing it, so he penciled in the letters. There's no letters on this. So there is an alternate universe. You might even be able to get the PDF from them, because they have a link to a PDF that has, like, all kinds of supplemental material you're looking for, so you might be able to get that. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not, like, if we were lettering this or whatever, like we'd have a little more finesse. But again, it is readable. It is a reading experience, and I'm, it was a real option. But you can see how this is tighter.
Yes,
this is much tighter, and the rest of the series is like that. So that was a shock. Like, I didn't expect it to be as raw as it was.
The way that Kayfabe's perspective is like second to none, man. And it really, when you talk about having life, like his background's absolutely due.
And again, this is, like the subject matter, because like I would argue that that Destroyer Duck #1 is maybe Steve Gerber's best comic too, and he is writing from the heart. Like that, it's a great. Like, I would love to redraw that script. Like, not that I feel it needs to be done, but it would be so much fun. And there is like just a really great action sequence. It's kind of like Sin City or something. Like early Sin City, because it's just like raw comics, like kind of like a duck with a gun out for vengeance, like something you really haven't seen in comics before. Like some of those like Rick Veitch like underground comics are kind of like akin to that,
right?
But it's also like it's these guys who are like sort of professionals, and now they're doing like an independent comic, and it's like, okay, well, what is an independent comic? And it's kind of like, well, maybe an independent comic is kind of like an underground comic, because it's got like an underground energy, and it's like it's thoroughly anti-corporate,
right? And
the depiction of this corporate dystopia is chilling and very familiar, and really kind of visionary in some ways, where they squeeze every ounce that they can get out of little guy who's supposed to be Howard the Duck, where it's like, okay, you start off having like a cool job, when you're no longer useful in that capacity, you're a sideshow freak, and then you're not success. So now and then we're just going to dissect you. The only thing they left out is that the last step should have been like, because they dissect him and they just kick him out on the street. They don't. But the last step would have been like harvesting him for meat,
right?
Which they kind of do with Destroyer Duck himself at the end of issue 1. But it's like a comic that's like pure vitriol, and the later issues are not quite. Not quite so much as the first issue.
They become almost general parody of like the zeitgeist. Your Pac-Man issue and Afghanistan.
The anti-corporate thread still is there, and but it is like commercialism and strawberry shortcake and all that stuff. Like, it's good. Like the rest of it's good, but that first one is like it's again like Sin City a couple years before Sin City, and it's also. Like, I think of Jack Kirby as like a 60s guy and kind of 70s maybe. So it is fun that he's riffing on like the stuff I grew up with. Like he's like riffing
Atari.
On Atari, Pac-Man and Strawberry Shortcake, and then Reagan showing up instead of like JFK or Nixon or Carter or Ford or somebody showing up in one of his comics.
Look at this, man. It's nearly a Dark Knight page.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a like a weird body of work, and I'm so glad they collected it in a hardcover version, and you get to see the pencils. There's like a Travis Bickle. They reference Travis Bickle. They reference the guy who shot Reagan.
Right.
They reference like it's a wild stew. And there's letters in here from Steve Gerber saying like, I'm kind of done with this Destroyer Duck thing. Like, how about we just wrap this thing up and then pair me and Kirby up on something else? Because I think like they were working at Ruby Spears, and it's also funny reading the script because when he's making these notes to Jack in the script, and the references are so great because he's like, okay, this scene, make it like the Knights of Wundagore from Thor, okay, and then this scene over here, it's going to be like a castle out of Thundar the Barbarian, because they were working on Thundar the Barbarian to get another thing that's like real important for me. And then he's like, okay, now this is kind of like Goldie Gold and Action Jack. So it's like stuff that they're like this weird obscure stuff that I grew up with, but that like they're working on at Ruby Spears, and like those are his reference points with Jack. And I think that probably he would have, if he was going to start from scratch and say, oh, I'm going to do a comic book with Jack Kirby, his first choice probably would be like, oh, let's do something like Thundar, like let's do something with like high tech and robot. Like it wouldn't be this weird parody, but I think because it's such an odd fit for Kirby, and maybe even like a little bit out of Steve Gerber's wheelhouse, even though like he was kind of like the weirdo, like pushing that stuff. I think that's what makes it great too.
It's true, yeah. Like Jack Kirby is such a straight man, you know, like he didn't do that much dingbats of Danger Street,
right? Yeah.
So seeing him in this, it's kind of straight. There's our Pac-Man guy.
The Pac-Man guy, yeah, and I get this is we're getting into like a Jack Kirby's Red Room where he grinds a guy up into meatballs.
Absolutely,
and
like
eats them.
it's so disturbing, man.
Yeah, it is. It's very like seeing Kirby do this stuff is disturbing because you do associate him with your childhood and a certain amount of wholesomeness, but he's got a sense of humor that's like completely his own, and
Alcala almost takes it back to the Joe Simon days.
Yeah.
With some of this art.
Well, that's the other ingredient. And so you do get a taste of it in here, is that, like, that's another oddball decision, is Alfredo Alcala inking Kirby is just another, like, left field kind of thing. And it's something you've never seen before. And again, another one of my favorites, and somebody, like, whose work I grew up with, but, like, pairing those two together. And it was just sort of, like, they were all in that
West
studio.
Coast.
Yeah, they were
Coast.
at Ruby Spears.
Yeah.
Like, Alcala was inking Kirby's presentation art and stuff at Ruby Spears.
Yeah. Just seeing some of this technique on over top of Kirby, it's just really, really magical.
But yeah, just like I like the inclusion of like those little bits of historical context and stuff.
Oh, that's right, man. It was also one of those things that was colored blue line method, so it had brush strokes.
Yeah, that's another thing about maybe why Destroyer Duck #1 stands out. Destroyer Duck #1 is a comic book. It's on newsprint. It's that kind of color. So it's like Steve Gerber, who's been you knew from the comic, from the funnies, and Jack Kirby, who you knew from the funnies, on this class doing something completely wild on this old format. Very disturbing. And then when you move it, issue 2 onward is like that kind of glossy paper, and the blue line color. It's not quite, it doesn't work. It doesn't quite have the punch.
They really have a system set up there at Tomorrow's. Like, this feels like it might be almost like a print on demand.
Could be, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's kind of a little creaky when you turn.
Yeah, like the production values are like sort of cheap, and like these aren't built to sell 100,000 of these or anything. It's
not like the Fantastic Four like zoomed in Abrams book or something.
Right.
It's not that. But again, it's like what's the demand for this? How, like, I bought it, you didn't buy it, Jim didn't buy, like, how many people in Pittsburgh bought this? Like, I didn't see any other copies of this on, like, I pre-ordered this at the comic store. I didn't see any other up on the rack,
Right, yeah. Listen, I think we just sold a couple today, man.
I hope so.
You good to go?
Yeah, I'm good.
Kfabe's like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell so that we can notify you when new vids are available. If you become a King Kfaber on our Patreon, you're getting all the videos well before anybody else. And hey, maybe there's a very finite amount of these Destroyer Duck Graphite editions. Get them while they're hot. The vids are also brought to you by The Books That We Make. And Tom, guest host of honor, is producing the I Am Stan graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. It's going to be coming out towards the end of this summer. He is also the creator of the Jack Kirby Epic Life of the King of Comics, Jack Kirby biographical comic that is out there, getting a paperback edition when the Stan Lee book comes out. Tom did Fantastic Four Grand Design, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, GoBots, American Barbarian, 25 years worth of comics. I'm going to be having a couple collections come out this year. The Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus is going to come out in time for the holidays, about 504 pages in total, with 140 pages of additional material that's not in the original 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree. Lots of art I created exclusively for this book. I'm also collecting the X-Men Grand Design Trilogy into a trade paperback from Marvel Comics that's going to be available in time for the holidays as well. Red Room is the current project that I'm putting together, and this is the cover to Red Room Crypto Killers #1 that is out on the racks at this very moment. Red Room Crypto Killers 2 should be coming out any time now. It is going to be a monthly book. Each issue is completely self-contained. There are 2 trade paperbacks of Red Room out there right now, The Antisocial Network and Red Room Trigger Warnings. Please support the books. Keep these comics, keep the lights on in the Kfabe studios. We'll be able to keep going. Jim Rugg has Street Angel Princess of Poverty coming out this summer, collecting his early round of Street Angel comics. It's a companion piece to Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive. He is the artist behind Plain Jane's and the creator of Hulk Grand Design. So without further ado, go get your Destroyer Duck Graphite editions, and Tom, give the people the marching orders.
Read more comics.
Boom. We're cooking, dude.
Yeah, this is good.
It's only a little afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what would be the bigger ones?
Well, that's another thing I learned, like, doing videos is, like, 2 people is optimal. Like, it's nice having that third person in, you know, like, I'm happy to come in with you guys and stuff, but, like, you can cook with 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah, this one should do well. This is Frank Frazetta. This is Frazetta, the living legend.
Yeah, the people have spoken. It really does seem like viewers of this channel, the Frazetta stuff is.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, it'll get near 6 figures. Definitely in the 5 figures. Let me just run it back real fast.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, just wanted to make sure that the audio is all
that we
there.
got all that gold.
Yeah, dude, filibuster, man. Sell yourself to the people.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, like, maybe we'll talk about it at some point, but, if we have time, but this is a little ways, this is actually coming out the same time as Stan Lee and the Jack Kirby reprint. It's just that, this like, big book publisher stuff, they have such a, they have such a system in place and so much advanced, but this is going to be solicited, I think, in the July issue of previews. And I've sort of shown this other places. I just haven't. The only announcement that hasn't been made yet is the publisher of it, and so I'm gonna kind of wait till the solicit for that. But it's called Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. And what it is I took this old Jack Kirby. Like space opera comic, one of his earliest comics. He did it like right before he started working with Joe Simon. So it's a Kirby solo, and it's also the first comic that he signed as Jack Kirby. And like I really enjoyed it, but I thought, you know what? If you just like expand this thing a little bit and just kind of like zoom in on the panels and maybe give it like a more sensitive production and color treatment. It could really sing. Like I just really fell in love with it, and it's in the public domain. But I have I've partnered with the Jack Kirby estate to work on it.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
So yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
So what? It was a pitch or something that you had?
No, it was a full comic. This came out. It is published. You can find it like various places. It's in like the Simon and Kirby. Sci-fi hardcover that like Titan did and stuff. But again, if you see the original thing, it's like early Kirby. It's this beautiful sweeping space opera but sort of told in these like sort of tiny cramped panels that are kind of stacked on top of each other in weird ways and go in weird directions. And so I basically like added some air to it. That's, you know, just added some air. And like I
oh no, yeah, I know
this
that
one.
comic.
So you've seen this?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. That's in the Theakston.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, Solar Legion.
Complete...
And again, it's like Kirby before he teamed up with Simon. So it's like a very sensitive. Like this is a deep comic. It's really good. But he like Simonson. I mean, not Simonson. Simon had like a little bit of salesmanship. So it's like Simon does a comic called Blue Bolt, and he's Blue Bolt, and he's got a blue outfit, and he's got a lightning bolt on his. You know, Jack didn't have that. So it was this like. It was called Solar Legion. It's like very kind of like what is, you know, solar power? What is that? And then but then the main character's name was Adam Star. Like why didn't you lead with that? Why weren't you like Adam Star and like give him like a star or something? But like Jack was like he was a real artist, you know. He like was a sensitive. He wasn't like thinking in those terms, and it's like so you know, it kind of came and went, but it's some of his best work, and it really has a kinship with his later work. It's really closer to like I think it's really close to like his like New Gods kind of stuff. It's just this really amazing space opera, and you know, I really like this sequence where there's like this giant like worm thing that attacks him. But again, like I read it a bunch of times in this Theaks and stuff, and it never really spoke to me. And then I was just kind of like looking at it closely.
Yeah, this is a video I've been wanting to do.
Yeah,
is call it like Virgin Jack Kirby or something like that. And you know, the first 125 pages of art and story by the King of Comics. Like this is a great document to have, man, because it's very raw. It's very
raw. Yeah, and again, and sometimes that rawness is appealing. But
let's do a video on that. I'm gonna call it Virgin Jack Kirby, and then that'll be the opportunity for you to show that off
flash
too.
That. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, see, we call audibles here.
Yeah.
You know, the very first Frazetta thing that we did, it was an audible
just
call.
Sort of like
you were with us.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, dude, like we either didn't have enough vids or felt weird about something, or like, you know, one of us didn't read something, so we were like, let's just look at this Frazetta book, and that fucking did super gangbusters to us.
That's the magic.
So Virgin Jack Kirby.
Yeah. No, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
And Greg Theakston, you know, like what a resource for like years and years. That was like how you could get your hands on this
the
kind of stuff.
Theakstonization, dude. Pouring fucking bleach and cooking shit in the oven. Like a
controversial figure, I'd say.
Might have taken a couple years off his goddamn life with Theakstonizing. Because he had to kill books, right? Yeah. Like he had to like destroy
a comic to save a comic.
Yeah. Let's get into that too.
Yeah.
With the shit, man. We're cooking, man.
Yeah, this is great.
We're cooking here, dude. It's only a little afternoon. You got to be out by 2, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. We might be able to get a week's worth in.
Sure.
You know what? The bottleneck is going to be this, but I have like a shitty phone, like an iPad pod. Charging up, man. So we'll just do that. Let me just make sure.
I love this stuff. The
comic
strips.
It's so well. We'll get into it in the video.
Yeah.
Damn near impossible to read is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's very rough. All right, let me try to figure out how to center this up properly. Jimmy's in my glasses. The blow. Okay, cool. Hit that button for me. Welcome to Cartoonist Kfabe. My name is Ed Piscor.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
Gonna be taking a look at some Virgin Jack Kirby artwork today here on the channel. Gotta let you guys know that we have a Patreon, and the King Kfabers on the Patreon get access to all our videos well before anybody else. Mitigates the Kfabe effect. The book that we're going to look at might be semi-rare. I can't imagine there are too many copies of the book out there, so the King Kfabers are getting first dibs on the aftermarket. But the videos are brought to you by the books that we make, and guest host Tom Scioli has produced I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee that is going to be coming out towards the end of the summer, August, I believe. He is also the creator of the Jack Kirby biographical comic, Epic Life of the King of Comics. He is the cartoonist behind Fantastic Four Grand Design, Godland, GoBots, American Barbarian. 25 years of comics making in this guy's bibliography. Jimmy's going to have Street Angel, Princess of Poverty coming out this summer. It's a companion piece to Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive. Jimmy's the cartoonist behind Hulk Grand Design and the artist behind the Plain Jane's shoujo manga. A couple big collections coming out in 2023 from myself, Ed Piskor. The Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus, 504 pages with 140 pages of additional content, is going to be out in time for the holidays. It's collecting the 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree that have been on the racks for the past decade. We're celebrating 10 years of Hip Hop Family Tree, 50 years since the birth of hip hop. There are 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design that we're collecting through Marvel Comics for the holiday season, into the X-Men Grand Design trilogy that you're going to be able to get your hands on in time for Christmas. There are 2 volumes of Red Room trade paperbacks out there as we speak. And starting in May, began the last season of Red Room Comics, Crypto Killers. This is the cover to issue number 1, and it'll be coming out on a monthly basis. Here's the cover to Red Room Crypto Killers number 2. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game. Each of these issues is completely self-contained. That goes for all Red Room comics. So if you see one in the dollar bins or something, scoop it up, give it a shot. You dig it, grab another one, man. And so it goes, this thing of ours, man. So, Tom, let's take a look at some Virgin Jack Kirby artwork. We're taking a look at the complete Jack Kirby Volume 1 that encompasses the time period of 1917 to 1940. And within these covers, we are going to be looking at the first 125 pages of art and story by Jack Kirby, the King of Comics. Man, this has been collected through Pure Imagination, which is the Greg Theakston kind of vanity press.
Yeah, this is like early 90s, late 80s, something like that?
97.
Oh, 97, okay.
Yeah, so Greg Theakston, controversial figure to say the least, man. And in order for him to... this is kind of pre-Photoshop in terms of the collecting of this artwork. And you notice that it's pure black and white. And the way that you get there with these comics, these old timely comics and stuff, the way that you get there, the way that you get the color off of this, he had some arcane process that he called Theakstonizing that had to do with like pouring bleach on an actual printed comic. So he had to destroy a comic, like a very expensive Golden Age comic, pour some bleach on it. You got to bake it in the oven, put it through some rigmarole, and then it turns it white, takes the color out.
Yeah, takes the color out and just leaves the black line. It's kind of like, having something sitting in the sun or something.
Right. But it's also, it doesn't, the fidelity, some of that black is going away. It gets muddy. Like, these are not the greatest.
His process became the standard for a while, and those early Marvel Masterworks and stuff, they were using the Theakstonizing process.
Is that true?
Yeah, he kicked that whole thing off.
That's amazing. I just automatically assumed that they had film negatives and photo stats of the artwork.
There's like the like when they would do like the Boys Ranch and stuff, like those Marvel kind of thing. Yeah, they were Theakstonizing them.
So this is how we get to say that there's art from 1917 in the mix, right? This is from that, like, what's that? The
Boys
BB?
Brotherhood Republic. Yeah, these were like the little cartoons he would do, the editorial cartoons.
The stuff that interested him as a kid, man, the shit that was floating down the gully.
About to go in the trash. There's a couple possible wonder stories, they say, that might be the one that Kirby fished out of the gutter. Comic
strips that he's building before the advent of the comic book. We're looking at 1934, 1935. The big willies of comic strips you already have established, man. You have Hal Foster, who's started his adventure strips off already, man. You've got Alex Raymond in the right, like Alex Raymond's still doing his thing.
Yeah. Now, this one right here is of note because this is like just sort of like a family life kind of comedy thing. But I think Kirby's drawing from his own. You can kind of get a sense of like maybe his house.
I always love the dialect in old comic strips. Yes. Like I've wrapped up Red Room myself, my contribution to it, man. So I've become a daily comic strip creator, and just reading through all these old daily strips, man, there would be dialect in all of them, whether it's Lil Abner in Dogpatch or Dick Tracy in the heart of Chicago. Like there's dialect in there, and I'm made it a point to give all of my characters some verbiage.
Yeah, E.C. Seeger is like the big one I think of with that stuff.
All of them, man. Walt Kelly.
Yeah. So here's Kirby's in-betweening. So this was like the pencil test you would take to become an in-betweener. What comes between here and here? What comes between here and here? So Jack Kirby drew this and this. And you see some Kirbyisms in there. You see some Kirby hands, some,
little bits, huh, man? There were those like info comics and those like Ripley's Believe It or Not type comics. He's playing with a lot of pseudonyms before he arrives at Jack Kirby.
Yeah, and some
editorial illustration. Like, this is the stuff like when you embark upon the career, I don't know if you were in this headspace when you were getting started, but just do anything, like to just draw greeting cards, draw a fucking coloring book if you get the opportunity. Just like be an overall illustrator. Of course, we're more into comic books ourselves, but the cool thing about being interested in comics is that it makes you a power illustrator where everything else is concerned, man. Like, if you get drawing a page of comics is much harder than drawing, a turtle, a cartoon-looking turtle next to a creek for a coloring book. And he's just, this is what we're looking at is Jack Kirby getting reps. Just stretching those muscles, man, and figuring out how comics works. And listen, he's going to do his little fucking E.C. Segar
he has
strip.
a Popeye. And then even among these, he has a Flash Gordon, which, that's where his heart is, but he does, it's called Cyclone Burke, and it's like...
it's built just like Buck Rogers.
Yeah, he's like... flying in his little biplane, and then he gets like teleported to the future.
Yeah, it's told in captions, very voluminous.
And then the
captions.
pirate comics and stuff. I always think of like Watchmen. This like alternate history if like pirate comics became the dominant.
It might have been called the Black Buccaneer.
Yeah, wouldn't shock me.
So cool seeing all these strips. Makes me wonder, like, did Jack Kirby just keep massive archives of everything he drew?
Yeah, could be.
It is all the same strips you see. Like in all the different like Art of Jack Kirby books, like we've seen all these before. The cool thing about this book is it's all collected in one spot.
Look at this robot, with like tentacles, and
We looked at with Warren Bernard. We made him bring in some old pulps, and got to see the pulp robots and stuff that Jack Kirby was drawing super early on. This is pretty cool, man. Where Theakston is trying to figure out like if some of these strips are pure Kirby, if there are collaborative hands in the mix. Because you would see weird stuff, like, that would pop up. Abdul Jones just doesn't have a ring to it. By Ted Gray.
Again, that is like... and we get some pencils, some early... And, Kirby's pencil work has, so much in common. Like, the inking styles sort of change the most, but the pencils change the least. For Kirby. Count of Monte Cristo. So some of those ones that you would see like Will Eisner doing, he was in that shop.
Yeah, and that's what this period is, man. This is the Will Eisner shop. And then Theakston does a good summary of, to everybody's best guess, what Kirby's contribution is. And if somebody else has a hand in it that they know, he tries to call that out as well. But once again, continuing those reps, man. Like, this is very, very rough stuff. Very raw, but you see the germ, see, this is what Kirby looks like when he's doing real perspective.
Yeah.
That's not as sexy as like what he grew into just doing his kind of eyeball. Putting together these big strips, try to sell them to papers, end up selling them to comic publishers. Comic publisher gives Will Eisner $7. He keeps $3, gives the artist $4 or something like that.
Yeah, Wilton of West Point. And then some of the close-ups. Yeah, it is fun when you see, like, later Kirby sort of show up in early Kirby.
Yeah, and as we progress, man, we're getting Simon Kirby-looking stuff in here. Playing with some zips early on. And just, like, none of it, in terms of title, screams hit factor,
I think that was like a good thing with him hooking up with Joe Simon, because I think Joe Simon had a better sense of that. Like we talked about, like Blue Bolt. It's like Jack Kirby wasn't doing anything that was that punchy as like, oh, Blue Bolt, he's blue and he's got a lightning bolt, like Jack Kirby didn't have anything like that prior to working with Joe Simon.
I love seeing these title treatments.
Yeah. Lightning and the Lone Rider. There's like
by Lance Kirby, man. He sounds like a cowboy.
Yeah, that's his cowboy persona. And these are a really good read. like what I realized in this volume is like Kirby's comic strip work is more akin to his later comics work than to the comics book work that he was doing around this time, because comic books, you had to get in and out real fast. You had to have 8 pages, tell your story, and be done and move on. These have an ongoing continuity,
right,
much like his Marvel work. So this is a much more satisfying read than most things you're going to find in his actual comic book work around this time.
It has more character,
yeah,
rather than just plot-driven,
right,
kind of drivel. Fun to see those pencils, huh?
Yes, very fun.
It's got to be. Does he hook up with Victor Fox within these pages?
Yeah, Victor Fox is happening, because it's like he's working with Victor Fox, and then Simon is in that Victor Fox area, and then they kind of.
What do we have right here, Tom?
Okay, so this is Solar Legion. This is the first time Jack Kirby like signed one of his comics. Jack Kirby, the printed version, conveniently doesn't have that. They whited that out, but he did sign it, and yeah, this story, it's like one of Kirby's early space operas, and he really has some time to
we're still going.
Okay, he really has some time to tell these kind of stories he's known for, these like cosmic epics, and let it simmer a little bit. He does like I think 3 or 4 installments of this Solar Legion.
Are you going to show anything
so
off?
Then yeah, that's another project I have coming soon, coming in September, is I've taken these Solar Legion comics, and I mean, I just like fell in love with this story so much, and the artwork within it and everything. I just felt like it was missing something. Like if you've seen the color version of it, it's like, you know, blasted out. The inking is rushed, and then the panel composition is like real tight and kind of like hard to read, and like the directions are, it's just primitive comics. Kirby's doing high level illustration, high level storytelling. It's just he hasn't like figured out how to make it work in comics yet. And so just to satisfy my own curiosity, and because I wanted something like this, I thought, what if you just took this story and gave it some breathing room? So what I did was I redrew it, I recomposed the panels, and then I gave it kind of this like pulp style to it, and let it breathe. And again, it was just something I did just for fun, just because I'm into it. And then once I was done, I was like, you know what? I think other people might like this too. And so I talked to a publisher, and the same day they were like, let's do it. So, I mean, I'm not going to announce the publisher right now, but this is coming out in September. I got the Jack Kirby estate involved. I got the blessing of Lisa Kirby and stuff. And so I'm taking all the Jack Kirby Solar Legion comics and putting them together into one like deluxe issue. Tells the full story, and I've rebranded it as Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Star and the Solar Legion. But again, it's like I'm a huge fan of like when Jack Kirby goes cosmic, and this is so much closer to like what he was doing in the 60s and 70s than like other work he was doing at this time, because shortly after this he does like enter sort of like a full partnership with Joe Simon, and so much good came out of that and so many things. But this like early raw Jack Kirby, he's like a sensitive artist and stuff, and when he got involved with Joe Simon, they became like hit machines. Like, we're going to be hit machines. And so a lot of the values of like sort of 1940s comics are not the values of, 2023 comics readers. And Jack Kirby had a lot of those values in his raw work. He was able to make it more sellable with Joe Simon. And so it's this amazing moment to kind of capture. And so I tried to kind of capture it and maybe curate it a little bit to sort of, present it in its best possible light.
It's amazing, man. So you'll come back whenever we can make proper announcements and show.
Yeah, we can do the full
off.
thing.
Maybe show the other issues of.
Compare them side by side. Yeah.
Hal Foster was out there, man.
Yeah.
Hal Foster was out there, and we got some swipes from Kirby, which was grand tradition in comic books.
Yeah, comic books were in their infancy, but comic strips were like sort of a mature art form by this point. So he's piggybacking off of that. The Fiery Mask. So now I think Fiery Mask right here is a pure Joe Simon. We're seeing pure Joe Simon.
I remember this image, man. I first saw this published in that Abrams Marvel 50th anniversary hardcover that was put out in like 1990 or something. That's just such a striking image. It's the rawness of it. Seeing that as a kid, really inspired me to draw because it looks it's so approachable. Crude. You know?
It's you could actually do something in that realm. And then again, the branding, like the name, the Fiery Man, it's just got a lot more punch than what we've said. Like Solar Legion, just sounds very tepid to me as a title. When the main guy is named Adam Star, like why didn't you lead? Why isn't the comic called Adam Star? You know.
Oh, so those cribs were from Joe Simon. Those swipes. This was a Hal Foster piece.
Yeah.
So apologies to Uncle Jack, Grandpa Jack.
Yeah. I'm seeing like it feels a lot like Siegel and Schuster.
It does, man. Like, and you could just tell that that's like a swipe of something.
Yeah.
Didn't you or
it might have been Jim.
Jimmy
Jim
did
did
Turner?
one. I don't know if it was Wing. It was one of those early Aviator kind of comics. I did I didn't do Cosmic Carson. I did Space Smith.
Right.
But this
I
is
think that
another
might even
one.
be in here.
This isn't bad, but there's like a soul to that Solar Legion stuff that this doesn't quite. I mean, it's awesome. I wouldn't mind doing one of those, but like Solar Legion just really spoke to me.
Yeah. Do you don't remember the
look at
the
these
titles?
guys?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, Crash Comics. It was Crash Comics. But like, look at this guy, and like again, it's like getting kind of lost in the sauce. But that's a beautiful illustration. So like, you just kind of spread that out a little more. And,
yeah.
You know.
Would you add extra art like on something like this? Would you add some like little pieces?
Well, just filling out
textures?
The frame. Filling out the frame a little. I stayed very faithful, but I was filling out the frame the same way they would do when they're making like a paperback adaptation of like an old strip comic or something. You know, one of those like Rip Kirby's or.
Here's your Blue Bolt. Is this a collaboration between Simon and Kirby?
This one looks like back it up. I'll know from the first page. I think this is pure Simon. If it's
Simon?
That's pure. That's Blue Bolt #1.
So Greg Theakston is padding us a little bit,
right? Yeah, but it is nice to see, what the combo adds up to. And here's
that's a great
the
title.
Last of the Solar. Yeah, I mean look at what Kirby's doing. Kirby is doing like widescreen epic comics. He's just kind of doing it, in this sort of weird era, trying to cram it onto 4. That guy's great. And again, like look at this guy in the body of Kirby's work. Like he was doing guys like this in the 70s and the 60s, And then this amazing sea monster and stuff. Let me pull out because this issue's great. So I just want to.
Look at this piece right here, man. That suggests that they had something other than just the comic book to source their material from.
Oh yeah, so here's my take on that guy.
The ears guy.
And then some of these.
I love that he uses like process red.
Yeah, well, because I wanted to make it like, what if back then they made like a hybrid of like pulps and graphic novels, like a pulp graphic novel. What if that existed? What would that look? Again, something I did to satisfy my own curiosity, and accidentally created something that is a commercial object.
So cool, man. Such cool choices too. To like, of course, it makes sense if it's panel 1 on the page to have that push into this panel, but you're not bound by that here.
Right.
So let's get out of that page
and then check out making that into like almost the whole page of this little.
This is going to be a special project, man. This is fantastic.
I mean, my heart is in this, So like again, I was a labor of. I did it, for fun, for free, like just to amuse myself.
Yeah, that's a very classic image, man. The color version of that was really beautifully separated.
So now we got Jack Kirby in the mix on these.
Yeah,
and I mean. Joe Simon was off to a strong start with it, but it gets like a depth and a breadth and a sensitivity when Kirby comes in.
And in just a few short years, man, I mean, this dude ain't too far away from creating Captain America now.
Yeah. And Mercury, we get, Kirby's, first sort of god.
Yeah, where did this appear? In like more like a Journey into Mystery or something like that?
There was Hurricane. I'm trying to think if Mercury might have been a different publisher, and then Hurricane was like the Marvel.
We did that version. One comic that you were like, this is like the Marvel universe or something, and like this was
Okay, maybe
a
Mercury was in
backup
it.
to something.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was like a Captain America backup or something.
Yeah,
yeah, because it starts out as Mercury, then it becomes Hurricane.
yeah. You know what? It might have been Captain America 1.
Yeah, and the the evil god is who is sort of this like fascist god. He's he's Mercury. I mean, not Mercury. He's Pluto. And he's kind of dark side. He's kind of when Pluto actually shows up in the Thor comics. It's Kirby had certain interests, certain themes he wanted to work on, and spent his whole career refining and expanding on them.
Yeah. So even this stuff is that early Marvel shit.
Yeah, Comet Pierce, all these Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon wannabes. But the aliens, I mean, I could see that in a Star Wars movie.
Absolutely. Super cool, man.
Yeah, really fun.
Just looked at the Genesis period of Jack Kirby's young art career. There's so much inspiration to pull from that, because we know who Jack Kirby is. We know what he turned into. This material is crude and has enthusiasm, and it's clearly somebody working towards a goal. But it's that great reminder, like in the studio here, I have the complete bibliographies of many, many cartoonists. Like that's something that we all have. You place value in an artist, get it all.
Yeah. And
the more interesting periods are the very, very beginnings and the very, very ends. The parts that everybody writes the most about. Like it's not that it's played out, but it's we accept that that's their best work, and that's
the
fine.
Essence is there, yeah.
But the early period, the final period, man, that is where you get the sort of most visceral artwork.
Though in X-Men Grand Design, those your first X-Men comics that you did when you were a kid, that is like such a great thing to have in there.
Yeah, totally, man. But there it is, man. Virgin Jack Kirby artwork. Kfabers, like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell so that we can notify you when new videos are available. I Am Stan is going to be Tom's forthcoming biographical comic on the great Stan Lee. It is the companion piece to Jack Kirby, Epic Life of the King of Comics, which is going to be getting a paperback treatment right alongside the I Am Stan paperback and hardcovers that are coming out in August. What are some of the other comics that you've worked on, man?
American Barbarian, GoBots, Transformers versus G.I. Joe, Godland, Myth of 8 Opus.
Fantastic Four Grand Design.
How could I forget?
So much great stuff out there. Jimmy, a Street Angel, Princess of Poverty, coming out this summer. It's a companion piece to Street Angel, Deadliest Girl Alive. Get both of these books, man. You got all of Jimmy's Street Angel comics from the past 20 years. He's the author of Hulk Grand Design and the artist of Plain Jane's shoujo manga. I have the Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus coming out to you at the end of this year. A couple collections in 2023. Celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Hip Hop Family Tree. We're ganging up all 4 volumes, plus 140 pages of additional material that are not in those first 4 volumes. Drew a bunch of fresh stuff for this edition that will not be in anything else. I've done 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design. We're collecting all of those into the X-Men Grand Design trilogy trade paperback that is coming out in time for the holidays. Scoop that book up whenever it comes out. Red Room is my current focus, and there are 2 trade paperbacks out there right now. There's Red Room, The Antisocial Network, and Red Room, Trigger Warnings. But this 3rd and final season, Red Room Crypto Killers, started coming out in May. This is the cover to Volume 1. Here's the cover for issue number 2. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game. Each issue completely self-contained, so you see a Red Room comic, scoop it up, give it a shot. If you dig it, grab another one. The Patreon for Cartoonist Kayfabe is where you can support the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel and get access to all the videos before anybody else, thus mitigating the Kayfabe effect. In the description below, we have links to merchandise, newsletters, all sorts of stuff, our own individual Patreons and social media. Without further ado, Tommy, give them the marching orders so we could be on our way.
Make more comics.
Good stuff. We're cooking, man.
Yeah. What are we doing next? Hal Foster.
We'll do, what time is it? We got, what, like an hour?
Yeah, a little over an hour.
It's so funny, I don't even remember the password to this old fuck. It's gonna take a second. It's been a long time since I used this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just like looking through like an old phone, trying to like, you know, get some old stuff off of it and onto like my iPad and stuff. And yeah, it is like, whoa, how did I ever look at something this small? You know?
Right. There's videos on here from September 26, 2019.
Okay. So that's when Kfabe started, 2019.
It would have been 2018.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, you got your, you know, 10-year anniversary of Hip Hop Family Tree or whatever. Is that what's coming up, or
10-year anniversary?
10-year anniversary, and that makes my mind reel. But then it's like, okay, X-Men Grand Designs probably got like, you know, if you told me how old that is, that would probably blow my mind. And then Kayfabe, which is like brand new.
I think, yeah,
it's like what, 5 years?
It's going to be 5 this year, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'd like to have 100,000 followers.
Sure,
for
yeah.
the 5-year
That'd
anniversary.
Be a nice present. Nice anniversary present.
Oh my goodness. I had 69% battery, and then I just opening it up, it went down to 20%.
Okay, yeah.
So like, there's no battery in this thing.
Yeah.
So we gotta filibuster and just chill out for.
Okay, yeah, sure.
For a little bit. We could talk with the Kfabers and try to maybe squeeze another vid in, make it a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if.
I got it on the supercharger thing, so like
it shouldn't.
It'll push the battery life up semi fast in 10, 15, 20 minutes.
We could just talk about this for fun if you want to just kind of look at it. I
was picking these comics up off the racks.
Yeah, me too. I probably got that at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Like I started picking the shit up right before year 1.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a fun one because this is the only silent one of the trilogy.
Yeah, the other issues are not silent, and it's the first silent comic I ever read. I didn't read G.I. Joe at this point.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is like it didn't ring any bells like that. It was like a silent comic. It was just like, you know, full of the pictures. 89, I definitely could read then, but I was so used to just following the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like I definitely it felt to me like, oh, I was seeing like maybe some like high art in like it felt very classy, like very tasteful, and like this isn't a run of the mill comic, you know.
When you do your recordings, do you have the microphone?
I've bought some microphone. I never found a good one. They all suck. So, you know. And then there was the one you recommended, which like they don't make anymore.
Is that true?
Yeah. It's discontinued. So I just have my setup like I'm like this, and I have my camera right here. So and then the microphone on the thing is right there. So I'm just like, you know, so it becomes like an ASMR video.
Yeah. So because like a part of me is like, what if we just don't use a mic?
Yeah. I mean, the best mic that I've found is the mic that's built in to my original iPad. The other iPads, the mics aren't as good, the cameras aren't as good. For some reason, my first iPad, even though I've gotten like more souped up iPads, I don't know if they've just like cheaped out on the cameras and micro, but like it sounds fine.
Yeah. Like
and the regular like regular Total Recall is like, you know, just us talking to an iPad basically, and stuff, and some, you know, you get it kind of close, you know, but it's not as good as a microphone. But I haven't found a microphone that works for me yet.
Right. Because I would like to keep going, you know. I'm in that talkative state.
Sure, yeah, you get in the zone. It's so natural.
And that's the beauty, you know, of rocking the shit with Jimmy, man, is because we got two phones, you know?
Right, yeah.
2 phones, 2 iPads. And I should probably turn this off to just try to preserve whatever battery is in there. See, these things, the fucking battery lasts forever.
Yeah, it is.
Forever. And that's an old-ass iPad. Mm-hmm. You know, that's probably the first iPad Pro.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a new one. Like I almost pulled the trigger and just get, like, you know, souped up everything. Get the 2 terabyte one.
Yeah.
And, like, the new pencil and the new Magic Keyboard and all that stuff, man. And it's over $3,000.
Yeah, I think the one I got relatively recently. I think it's like 1 terabyte. Maybe it's 2. I forget. But I was like, it was like when I started doing videos that I was like, okay, I gotta like way, because like my thing was just getting filled up so fast.
Yeah, I clean it out all the time. Like
where do you store your stuff? Just
I have mad hard drives, man. I have a lot of hard drives.
How do you get it off of this onto a hard drive?
Use iTunes. No. You get it off of this onto your computer.
Okay. And is it a Mac or
no? I'm a Windows dude. Yeah. I ain't paying like I use this Apple bullshit and I'm stuck with it, but like not with computers ever.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm hacker minded, you know, and that walled garden is bullshit. So you just pop it in and then you sometimes big videos if you open, you have to open iTunes for it to just recognize a big video when you open like the folder for the iPad. Like you don't go through iTunes or nothing, but something about like clicking the iTunes thing and making it's like, hey, there's a giant file in here. And that's what I use. I do use iTunes to like load up comic books and shit on there.
Here's that other thing I was talking about, but it's like, look at this timeline. We got Chick Stone.
Right.
Then we have Frank Giacoia.
And Coletta's in the back here.
And Coletta had been doing Tales of Asgard for a while. And then it's like, okay, Coletta, here's your big chance. And he gets the whole book. And it becomes, like, that's the aesthetic of Thor.
He does such cool stuff with this, like, broken brush, you know, with, like, split hairs. And he saves the split hair brush for the right stuff. Foliages.
This panel, like just the inking and everything, looks so much like a Simon and Kirby or like one of those 50s
it
Kirby.
Does. Yeah, because there's so much rawness to it, you know, and he uses that stuff there.
Yeah, that's what Coletta brings.
This looks terrible in reprints.
Oh, the reprint, yeah, right.
Terrible.
Yeah, because when you boost that black up, then it's like, it makes you look at the lines as if every single line is intentional.
Right.
And if every single line is intentional, they got to be in the right place, and they're not. But when it's sort of, you know, browned out like this, then it's like, oh, it's okay. It's all good. He's just kind of splashing the ink on there.
It just flattens out that horse with that hatching.
Yeah. But like the Giacoia, like not Giacoia, the Chick Stone.
Oh yeah,
is like never more beautiful than this issue. Like,
it's true.
It is like it's.
And it's my thesis that like it's Chick Stone that like Bruce Timm is emulating when he's doing his Kirby style with these super thick blacks, sharp as a needle. I think if I asked Mike Royer who his Kirby inker is, I feel like he'd say Chick Stone. I see similarities.
Yeah, it's the pop art. It's the pop art look in a way that you know, even Sinnott wasn't quite.
When does Bill Everett come into the mix?
Way later. Bill Everett's like towards the end of Kirby's run.
Yeah.
And Kirby didn't even remember that Bill Everett inked him. Like when people
those are special comics.
They're cool. When people would tell Kirby, "Oh, I loved it when Bill Everett inked you on Thor." He's like, "Bill Everett never inked me on Thor."
I get it. Like when at this point when my comics are done, when I get my comps,
yeah,
I don't really look at them that much.
Sure, yeah,
man.
yeah. Because like I remember the early days of getting like a box of Godlands, and it would like that would be my night.
Just walk with it,
yeah, exactly.
and like your first one gets ratty because you just like you're carrying it like a fucking infant.
It was always like we'd be leaving to like go get dinner, and then there'd be like a box of Godlands, and I'd be like, ooh, you know, and just like take it with like have it in like Eaton Park.
Right.
But yeah, look at this, look at that. It's it's just so beautiful.
It's shit like this that always fascinates me, where it's like clearly somebody like drawing on the separation layer. You know?
Yeah, those separators getting a little bit of leeway, you know, to do their artistry. Those are like that's like the the documentary we need is like the unsung heroes of comics.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
like rooms full of like old ladies
like,
coloring them.
Yeah, was that Connecticut Chemical Company? Is that what it was called?
Perfect Chemical Company? Is that or something? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Because they definitely paint the picture that just one of those Victorian mansion, like you know, the Kubert School mansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweatshop.
And then you zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, sweatshop, and it's just a bunch of matronly old ladies cutting zipatones. That's a good snapshot, dude.
Of the era. Yeah, that's what's nice. Yeah, doing these Thor videos is it's like, oh, it's kind of cool seeing what's going on. And it is like Thor is like picking up steam, cooking with gas, and then you see what's happening in like Fantastic Four at the same time, and it's like, oh wow, like the Inhumans haven't even shown up yet, you know?
Do you have a fucking complete run? Like
no, there's some gaps. Like,
and it's probably super expensive ones.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, there are some. I thought I had a complete run, but there's some holes. So some of those issues I'll take.
What's the earliest one you got?
Earliest one
of real shit
is like, oh man,
any journeys?
Yeah, I probably the
or I guess these are journeys.
Yeah, journeys. But the earliest one I have is maybe like the first appearance of Zarko the Tomorrow Man. So that's pretty early. That's a pretty early one.
Say double digits early or like
yeah, I think it's a double digits. Yeah, I think it's like a 90 something or. But then I have like, you know, like this is where I, you know, my, you know, collection starts to really fill in. But I, you know, I have some of the ones before this and stuff. But yeah.
And then do you sort of supplement your shit with like the Marvel's Greatest Heroes?
Or sometimes an artist edition has a story. So like the next one I do is going to be an artist edition and sometimes I just can't find my copies. The next one I have I just have in reprint, so I can't find it. So I'm just going to do the artist edition, which is fun. Yeah, so man, look at this stuff. And Jacoya, you know, this could work. But again, the Chickstone and the Jacoya, they're beautiful and stuff, but like Coletta has magic. There's it's so wrong in so many ways, but it's like, you know, fuzzed up, distorted guitar or something, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's so raw. Like it doesn't look like Marvel Comics. It's
right.
like he's making like anti-Marvel Comics
yes.
over something that is the Marvel language, the creator of the Marvel language, and he somehow turns it to a Charlton Corgo.
Well, yeah. That's like, but Frank Miller, Alex Toth, they would say like, do a strong underdrawing,
yeah,
and then get raw and nuts with the ink,
yeah,
you know, and that's this. You know, make the ink a little bit wrong. And this is,
and it's so like the lines are so thin, like you just know if Chick Stone was doing this that there would be so much heavy weight on this front guy, and the colors has so much work to do because of blending all the line weights together and stuff.
And it does work. You're right. And sometimes that a comic comes together in the crunch. And I've had experiences where I've had like a comic thoroughly figured out and like I know what I'm gonna do and like it's like, this is perfect, this is great, and then the end product isn't as good as the times where I've got a comic and I'm like, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I don't know, and then that gets something going in me where I go into like high gear and then create like some of my best work because I came in without feeling like I didn't have like a net, you know, to catch me, you know.
Yeah, it's real fun like seeing these Tales from Asgard, especially when it's ones like this where it's like 4-panel comic strips.
Yeah.
And they're all that because you just know Kirby did this in like an afternoon.
Yeah. And I also think this is him doing Hal Foster.
Yeah.
So like if he did like on a comic book size page doing, you know, like 9 panels or 12 panels isn't going to work. So it's like it's you know, it's like the Atari version of an arcade game. Like this is the comic book version of a Hal Foster like page of Sundays.
I'm reading Prince Valiant. Like what I was doing before I went to Japan was every night read a different strip book. So I have like 7 books going, and it's like Buzz Sawyer and Peanuts and Dick Tracy and Floyd Gottfredson, Mickey Mouse, Popeye, Thimble Theater. And I was like, let me just pull out a Prince Valiant. And I started reading Prince Valiant Volume 1, and I'm like, I'm just going to be reading Prince Valiant for a little while, I think, man.
It's so great. Like, and it was the Fantagraphics collections that made me fall in love with Prince Valiant. Because, like, none of them quite gave you, like, and all of a sudden, it's like Prince Valiant became, like, my favorite comic,
It's
like,
amazing.
Just from that,
and how early it is.
Yeah.
Like, several years before comic books. In that first volume, the growth of Hal Foster's work, he gets so strong because, like, the Tarzan stuff is like okay, like it's okay, it's fine, but the first, say, 5 weeks of Prince Valiant is like Tarzan level work, a lot of 12 panels per Sunday, that type of shit, and then it just once we start to get the fucking chainmail and shields and shit like that.
The Vikings show up.
Like and so much happens fast.
Yeah, and like people, like my whole life, people were singing the praises of Prince Valiant, and you're like, what are they talking about?
Right.
And then you finally see it.
I would read it, like it was in the Post Gazette, the John Cullen Murphy shits, but it was so kind of raw, and there was so much. It from what I remember, it would take John Cullen Murphy a long time to, like, it would be a moment to moment comic strip that, like, each one's a daily strip basically, except he's putting them out on Sunday.
Right.
So it would take so long to get in and out of situations, and I would just be like, yo, you were still with these two fucks.
Right, yeah.
And Hal Foster's shit is not like that at all, dude. Like, the demon thing.
The demon stuff, yeah.
That's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you get in, you get out. Then there's that other one, like, I just read it last night, where he goes into the cave of time.
Love it. Yeah, with the wizard.
Yeah,
and stuff,
with like Father Time.
And yeah, you're seeing Jack Kirby's whole, like, first issue of demon, forming. All the ingredients, every single ingredient.
But like when he fucks with Father Time and gets turned into an old man.
Yeah.
Like by the next one, he just drinks from a witch's chalice and goes back to normal. It's like, damn, it sucks to be old, so I'm gonna always remember what it feels like to get old, and I'll just enjoy my time now. There was no consequence to it at all. There was no, like, he just pushed the old dude off. It was no big battle. It didn't lead to anything. He just turned old for a strip, and then drinks some stuff from some witch, and then goes on and has more adventures, dude.
I think about that because Kirby would always say, like, he's a product of Milt Caniff, Alex Raymond, and Hal Foster.
Yeah.
Those are he said, that's my art school, is those three guys. And the Hal Foster, you so see it. Like, there's like late Thor stuff where I think Balder has to go into this dimension where time's accelerated and he gets old, in this span, you just see it all. You see all your favorites in, like, those first 3 volumes. You see, okay, there's Frazetta. There's Wally Wood. You see all your favorite guys. You're seeing what they're pulling from.
So much Buscema.
Yeah, Buscema. Yeah.
Like with like the the sort of tyrant that took over Prince Valiant's like original
He's
land.
like slunked in the
just
chair.
Like sitting there. Like how many times
Buscema
has fucking
pose.
Buscema drawn that? Like
yeah. That's why Buscema wanted to do this kind of stuff and like
totally
Conan because he wanted to do Foster.
We did Wolverine issue 1. Of the regular series, and that's Buscema and Chris Claremont, and it is totally a pulp adventure. It's Terry and the Pirates.
Yeah,
it's Terry and the Pirates with how Foster finished to it. Because it's just literally Wolverine with a patch on his eye, and his name is Patch.
Yeah,
and there's no costumes in any of the John Buscema run. It's just this like little pirate colony that they just invent to have these like high seas adventures and mutiny and all of that kind of sword play. And
did you watch Tailspin?
Yeah, totally.
Because that was like that's how they introduced our generation to Caniff, to like it's Terry and the Pirates just with like Disney characters, but it's they just were like, oh, here's this thing that worked in 1930. Let's give it to kids in 1990.
Yeah, it's so funny because I never knew, like, the Jungle Book, like, I never fucked with that. And I bet that was like the last one to get a VHS tape or something like that,
Right,
man.
yeah.
Like nobody was looking.
I've still never seen it.
Yeah, like but we know that that's where
Believable.
Baloo is from and shit. And then
Yeah.
when you see it, it's disturbing because like Baloo from Tailspin, he's got proper gear on and shit
Yeah.
like that. And then to see him like naked,
Right, yeah, because he's civilized. Yeah, he's
Right.
like he's a person, just like furry.
Yeah.
But then he's
But in that you just see him naked with like young boys. And then like I'm assuming that all the other monkeys and shit are in that Jungle Book also. Did you see, like, it shows up on my Explore page on Instagram where people think that they're like, it's like a animated kind of swipe file, and they talk shit on there's like a Christopher Robin sequence in Winnie the Pooh where they trace the movements and stuff of the little
rotoscoping
boy.
or whatever.
No, like they're literally tracing, what the fuck is the little dude from Jungle Book?
Mowgli.
Yeah, like they're tracing a Mowgli doing all the stuff except it's in Winnie the Pooh land. So it's Christopher Robin traced over top of old animation that they already did.
Okay.
Of Mowgli is the rotoscoped.
Okay, yeah, the rotoscoping actual animation.
Exactly, like the whole beats and everything, and people are like, "My whole childhood is a lie," and like talking shit, and it's like, you think that's easy?
Right. Yeah.
You think that shit is easy? Because it's not like one for one. You know, it's different. It's clothes. It's, you know, bounce to hair. There's like so much stuff that's being done.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, you just look at the
Even
history.
when they rotoscope.
The history of stuff. Like, okay, these Jack Kirby Thors. Like, before he can do like the famous stuff, he has to do that exact same story 10 times before that, and like work out all the kinks to get to the point where, you know, 30 issues later, he's like doing like the thing that we all know.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing
that's
that's for all time.
That's your whole thesis with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he's just telling these same stories. Like, and then there's a point where it's like, okay, we got a Vincent Price Safari guy showing. So the Vincent Price Safari guy, who even calls Vincent in his liner notes,
yes, he
shows
does.
up in Thor, and then and then you got a Safari guy in Fantastic Four, and then you have a different Safari guy come in looking for somebody, you know, and it's like he's just doing that same thing over and over again, and then it clicks into place, boom, and then you get, you know, the Inhumans and Silver Surfer. And it is about repetition. Like some of the, you know, it's the creative process is not pretty, and there are moments when there's like magical inspiration and stuff just kind of comes out of nowhere and it's there, but so often it's just like you're working and working and working and working and work, and all of a sudden, you know, it turns into something. You know?
Yeah.
Even looking at like the videos and stuff, like there's growth that goes on in the making of these videos that
Totally.
isn't specifically intentional. It's just like you're doing it so much, and then you like look at an old one and it's like, oh, that's, you know, that's kind of raw and
Really
you know,
slow.
Yeah, and now it's like this well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it's true. You know, it's a new phenomenon. The idea that you could kind of grow in front of people's faces.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 20th century phenomenon that it never existed before in art.
And why not? Like, if you're comfortable with it,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, and I like I would like to get artists a little more comfortable with that, because they really shy away from their early shit.
I do like have a lot of conversations with other artists who are maybe shyer than we are or whatever, and it's like, you know, so many of your problems get solved if you're just willing to kind of just share a little, just get a little, like, you don't have to share everything, but just like get your stuff out, and then you don't have to disappear for like 15 years while you're working on your magnum opus.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. I think maybe it would have been Complete Crumb Comics that, like, on the face of it with the title is like that thing where I will show you everything, and there's 2 volumes of Juvenilia that we get to share with you and stuff. And you know, I got those comics so young. You know, my first Fantagraphics comic was the Anything Goes issue with the Ninja Turtles on the cover. I've got it at the hardware store right down in Homestead, Keystone Plumbing, and it was because it was the Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
And in there is a Crumb story in there. It's like these 2 ducks or whatever, but there's an ad for the Complete Crumb Comics 1. And I just never noticed it or anything like that. I knew Crumb from Comic Book Confidential, and when I discovered comic shops, like I bought volume 2. Like, they had to reprint volume 1, and it took a while for that one to show up. But seeing those Notebook comics just fucking blew my mind. Comparing it to like this Duck comic that I see in this, and then I would get comics by Les Daniels and would see his work in Zap and like that, you know, Far Out shit. And to just see that growth is just, it's so liberating. It creates that idea that like it's tangible, you know.
That's important to see.
You just gotta fucking work, man. That's all. Because like at the same time with seeing that shit, I am seeing those Russ Cochran EC reprints that are coming out in issue format, those 64 pagers, and seeing Wally Wood for the first time and just feeling hopeless.
Sure, yeah. You see like Wally Wood stuff he did as a kid, and even that stuff's pretty advanced.
But yeah, that guy, he really hurt my feelings because I was so gung ho about comics. McFarlane's out, Liefeld's out. It looks like cake, you know, like real easy to do.
Even like for me, even like Kirby was kind of that. Because again, like it's such a naive thought because Kirby is doing so much great stuff at such a high level, like across the board. But just to my eye, like I would just see like maybe like some weird looking teeth, or like, you know, a weird looking
far apart
knee,
eyes, or
something like that. I'm like, okay, I think I can maybe do that.
Yeah,
you know, like
Kirby is always a tough nut to crack because to do a Kirby. When you're putting together your style and stuff, and you're getting started, and you don't have the information, it's so brush dependent. That like you can have a technical pen and like draw those lines, and it loses all the magic. You need those line weights.
A Chick Stone is like great for that stuff. I'm thinking, you know what? Even before Kirby, I was like trying to draw like Bob Kane. You know, like the first issues of because the Batman movie's coming out.
Yes,
and you see these magazine articles, and they're showing you the first couple. They're showing you the first couple panels of like early Batman. It's like I think the first comic I did was like deliberately doing like a Golden Age style. I had my own superhero, and it was like I can do that.
That's so
I can
cool.
do that big piece of glass coming down, and then he hits it with a wrench. I can draw that.
It was that you know, the Adam West like the opening credits.
Okay, the credits
was like the greatest stuff, man. Like I'll show you. Like I have some shit from
that you did. Oh, that's funny.
That I would like
in my garage somewhere is my first comic book that I drew in like, I don't know, 7th grade or whatever. And as soon as I find it, like I just haven't found it yet, but that, you know, that's going to be an episode. But it was like me trying to do my version of Detective Comics number 27. It's so great that you have this like complete file of all your old stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not complete, and that's the bummer. It's because I got rid of a great tub, like the best tub of art.
This is
that had I had a team put together of Thor and Spider-Man because I'm like, what are two comics that fucking suck right now? And I'm gonna like get them together. Like, dude, here, let me show the Kfabers real quick, man. My 1996, and it says golden.
Well, yeah, and you see,
but I was super into that style, man.
Even like Dick Sprang, like you see Dick's, like, and looking at some of it probably is like,
look at that shit, dude.
This might be when they're having those Dick Sprang covers on like current Batman comics, you know?
Yeah,
like
and I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, 96. So that's well after that. But yeah, man, the Golden Age just kind of spoke to me because of that accessibility. That it's like, oh, I can kind of draw like that. But then it was kind of like underground. It was like, oh, comics don't look like you know, they don't look like that anymore. The hatching, man, this is great.
Like weed smoking Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, this is a Ben Marek.
Right. A Justice League parody kind of joint. That you could tell little Eddie P is just learning about crosshatch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to go all in.
Like a Sin City kind of X-Men 1 cover with heavy blacks. And that's me using Sharpie. So you got to like draw quick because if you stay still, you're going to get that fucking bleed.
Bleed, yeah.
Doing like my own. I was into pulps. Like I discovered pulps and shit. No. And I'm like, let me do a fucking pulp comic.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is your golden age.
Right. Copying off of Masamune Shiro, Appleseed, and then having my own bootleg comics.
Yeah, I have that too. And there was even...
This is Clandestine, the Alan Davis Marvel comic. It's like such a... Like, why would I bootleg that? But I mean, I did.
There was this thing, the Kirby L. It was this like Kirby chat group, the Kirby list. you know, and I guess it's like email based or whatever.
Right.
You'd be on this email list, and then there was like a little network in there. So I have like a book of like photocopied like Yellow Claw comics that I got from that network, that
That's hard.
you know, that like early network of like, you know,
super early bones that I Xerox.
Yeah.
Off of, and what it would be is like I would meet somebody that would have the thing.
Sure, yeah.
So like I drew this after I saw a Spawn comic at school, and I ran home to like try to record what I thought I saw.
Nice.
And then I didn't have the first 2 issues when they came out, so I borrowed them off a dude and just took them to Office Depot at Century Square where the Dollar Theater is.
Okay.
there was a Office Depot up there, and then with markers, like I would just color the flesh.
It's a nice aesthetic. This is something to keep in mind for like an aesthetic for a comic, you know? This sort of dark photocopies colored by hand.
Right. All right, guys, we're going to give it maybe 5-10 more minutes of battery charge, and going to try to squeak one more video in before Tom has to split. He's got a tight schedule. Look at that, Deadpool 1994. I ever show you this shit, man? Like cribbing John Romita Jr. Daredevils, like just redrawn issues.
Okay.
Little Deadpool joint. This is Ninja Turtle comic I put together. The old Violator clown, and with this drapery, that tells me that the Bart Sears, Alan Moore Violator miniseries is out. Because like Bart
sort of
Sears,
like slashy kind of.
yeah, he would do drapery that way. I saw a fucking video. There is a video on YouTube. It is that fucking Blitz on cartooning guy. So already it's clown shit to start, right? And he is talking comic books, and he goes to the fucking offices of Crossgen. So it's a full jobber fucking special, dude.
That I think I've seen. It's an episode of Reading Rainbow. Because there's maybe it's something.
He had his own. Okay.
Because there's a Reading Rainbow episode where they go. LeVar Burton goes to Crossgen also.
Yeah, no, this is Blitz, but the show is Philly based. So I you weren't there in '97.
Sure, yeah, I was here.
Yeah, but I think it was like a public access show in Philly. That's how it is. But just like, you know, it's Bart Sears is on there, and Andy Smith, and they talk with a colorist. And what was funny with the colorist, because they're doing the computer color shit, and Blitz is so right. He's like, why is he gray? Like, created color in this character. He's like, why is he gray? Because, you know, Blitz is about like poppy fucking daily strips and shit like that. And the guy's like, well, he's made of rock. And that's the shit that we talk about on this channel all the time, with the browns and the grays and the fucking one hue.
You know, the Reading Rainbow one was Valiant. They go to Valiant.
That is, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like, of course, it's these shit companies that like have salesmanship built in, and nothing else. All sizzle, no steak kind of.
Well,
companies.
they both look like what you imagine a comic book company looks like.
Right. That was the whole shtick with Crossgen. You know, that was that rich dude who buys a bunch of cartoonists because he was heartbroken that the Marvel bullpen was Fugazi.
Yeah.
So he's gonna like reimagine and create a bullpen. So like seeing the vids being recorded like in the Crossgen space to see like what the bullpen was and stuff, and like, you know, these guys have to uproot themselves. That was a question I asked Jimmy before we left for vacation, was like, how much would it cost for you to uproot your whole life and move someplace for some rich dude, when even like as a kid when that shit was coming out, I'm like, this is doomed. This is nothing.
Yeah.
And all these guys are fucking losers for, like, is comics that bad right now that you have to take the largesse of some fucking Medici,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like some Medici family guy to like paint your fucking
I just want
masterpiece.
to, like, at this point, like we look at those guys as, like, you know, older than us, but I mean, they might have been like younger than we are now when they made that. Like, it's kind of different when you have like no roots whatsoever, you know, and you're kind of like, okay, I guess I'm moving to a new town for my new job.
Yeah, I mean, it would be Barbara and Carl Kessel who doing shit since the 80s. It would be
Yeah, it was
it would be Mark
96
Waid
or something.
yeah. Like they weren't that young.
Yeah.
I feel like we got two banger possibilities, man.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to think like which would be the biggest and like the Kirby one, like the deal will be like either Kirby swiped his greatest creation.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say about that. I have less to say about. Are you thinking about the Superman one?
No.
Okay. What's the other bang? Oh, the other banger's Frazetta.
Frazetta.
I mean, I just think like when I'm here, it's kind of like, oh, it's a week of Kirby, but it's like, and so it becomes like white noise. So like maybe the Frazetta
That's
one
what I'm
would be the
thinking.
standout, and we
Yeah.
can just talk about the, you know, and I it's not like I'm going to forget what I have to say about the demon thing, you know,
Right.
but yeah, I think that Frazetta might be the way to go if we can only
Me
do
too,
one.
because we did look at some Kirby.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So,
don't
like-
want it to be like one note.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, take a good look at this,
Yeah.
man. So to prepare your head.
I mean, of all the Kirbys to look at, you know, Destroyer Duck was a cool one.
Yeah, and truly, like the whole clickbait of the Jack Kirby swipe the thing is
Yeah.
really to just do a Hal Foster video. You know, it has almost nothing to really to do with Kirby, but I just want to like that's the game that we're playing. You know, like I sent Jimmy an email last week where I was like, dude, my greatest fucking accomplishment with Cartoonist Kfabe was to get 20,000 people to check out a video on an AC comic.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know if you saw it.
That was the Watchmen one?
Before Watchmen
Oh,
one?
I fell for that one. Like, and I was into it.
It's cool, right?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
cool
I was
comic.
into it. Looks cool to me.
It's a cool comic. Like, and it was an amazing find, you know, like just digging around for comics and being, and like, the hook was built in. It's
Yeah.
like, holy fuck, they ganged these characters up into a team before DC Comics bought them.
Yeah, like moments.
They
before
left it on a cliffhanger and call out that a publisher bought these dead properties.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic little piece of history, man.
Yeah. It's in there in the letters column and everything. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, another
And
video.
it's the reason you dig because
Yeah.
you don't. I didn't know that existed.
Right. There is this like possible world of comics that you might find when you reach in there that you didn't even know about. You know, like that's, you know, and so often it's just a lie. So often there
Yes.
isn't anything like that. But then occasionally there's, and that's what keeps you coming back.
Totally,
You know?
it's the juice, man. Like it's
Yeah.
it's the shit that we do, and it's really that's like why we're like off into the deep end with like the outlaw comics type shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of material like
Yes.
like Glenn Chadbourne. Like if you saw this guy's work, it would fucking blow your mind, and it's so rare. Like he does covers for Stephen King. That's what he's been doing the past 25 years. But he did a comic or two, and it's the most rigorous rapidograph, like
Yeah.
crazy pen draw that would fucking blow your mind. And it was a regional thing, you know, and Todd
Yeah.
bought some collections or something, and it just gets filtered into the Pittsburgh fucking long boxes that you
Yeah.
can look through.
Yeah,
Just
a very
couple more
slow
minutes.
moving network is, you know, this like physical net. It's you know, we're living in this age of digital networks that are at the speed of light,
Right.
And then we got this other slower network that we kind of grew up in.
Yeah, and it's fun. Someone sent us a copy of we have the studio.
Okay, nice.
Did you ever see that book?
I've seen. I don't own it, but yeah, I've seen
like
it.
because all the old timers who fucking bought it never let them go.
Yeah.
It's a $500 book.
Yeah, one of the guys I used to work with brought it into the office. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, ooh, you know.
It's amazing. That's going to be a Sunday video when Jimmy comes back, going through that stuff, and it's real funny because the way they're positioning themselves and explaining art and shit, but it really is not far from like Ghost World, like that
Right,
that one boy who's like, oh, I just want to draw a dude with a big hammer.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like Jeffrey Catherine Jones has the most sort of art mind of the crew. But Kaluta's drawn pulp, and Barry Windsor Smith is drawn pulp, and fucking Bernie Wrightson certainly is. But the language that they're using and stuff like that is highfalutin fucking art talk. And it's just not commensurate with the art that you see.
Yeah.
And it is pretentious. But it looks cool as fuck. I'm into it.
Yeah.
But the words and the imagery, it's a little embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some of that stuff's part of like the artist's journey too, because you write a lot of checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash, and then it's in a book, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to like earn it, and maybe you do.
And you know everything you just said about that Crossgen stuff probably applies to the dudes in that book, because it's about 1978, 79. Yeah. They're not 10 years into a career.
Right.
They're probably younger than us now.
Yeah.
And they don't have anybody. Like, there's nobody doing shit at that level. It's all the old timers, man, who are like John Broome and like these fucking guys, man. Mike Sikowski and shit, who are like, hey guys, we got mortgages to pay. Like, why don't you slow it down a little bit, draw a little faster, turn your things out a little bit more, because you're making us look bad. You know, Walt Simonson told us that story when he went in to try to get his first works from DC. He says in a shoot interview that like the young dudes are there, man, and they are, you know, Wrightson, and they're the ones that bring amateur Simonson to the editors, but like the old timers are like giving Wrightson and those dudes a hard time because they could like labor over a piece and like make almost nothing. You know, it's a time in New York when you can make nothing and scrape by and live, but the end result is like they made the best pages of the time, but the old timers just fucking hacking shit out because they want to live in that same street that everybody, all the strip dudes lived in Connecticut. All right, now let's do it. King Kfabers, man, we just gave you a whole episode of some shit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That ain't going anywhere. Can't say you don't get value from being a King Kfaber.
Yeah, this is the origin of a kayfabe is like, you know, getting in a car and driving to, you know, North Carolina or whatever, and just like the conversations that come up casually.
And I might even just try to breeze through it, make it a 15-minute-er, and try to squeeze one more in even.
Yeah.
If we could maybe handle that. I know this will be a banger whenever it's done, just for the...
It'll stand out. You know, like it's not the same as everything else.
But like with our audience, there is a sweet spot time period where like we could just pull out a comic from the 90s, like a tentpole 90s thing, and they show up.
Yeah.
So without further ado, man, you think you could hit that for me? Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piscor.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
Going to be talking about Frank Frazetta, the living legend at this time.
Yeah.
He was, at least whenever this book came out. But first, got to let you guys know that we have a Patreon. And at that Patreon, if you will become a King Kayfaber, you are going to have access to all the videos before anybody else. And the book that we're looking at today, I think it's kind of a rarity, man. Going to be hard to get. So the King Kayfaber is going to get first dibs. King Kayfabers also have access to our live stream recording sessions, so even before the video is produced, they're watching us talk about it, and they're going to eBay and Amazon and scooping up all the cheapest copies. But the videos are brought to you by the books that we make. Co-host Tom Scioli has I Am Stan forthcoming. Did you get the free Comic Book Day comic? It's a fantastic comic. It's a fantastic chapter in the life of Stan Lee. And there's a much bigger book on the horizon coming out at the end of summertime that we will also do a bigger video on when the time comes. Tom is also the artist behind the creator of the Jack Kirby Epic Life of the King of Comics biographical novel that is getting a paperback treatment when the Stan Lee book comes out, man. So congrats on that, Tom. Masterpiece comic. He's also the creator of Fantastic Four Grand Design, artist behind Godland, created American Barbarian, Transformers versus G.I. Joe, GoBots, all sorts of stuff. Jim Rugg has Street Angel Princess of Poverty forthcoming. It is the companion piece to Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive trade paperback. You get both of these. You have all of Jimmy's Street Angel comics from the past 20 plus years. He is the creator of Hulk Grand Design and the artist behind Plain Janes. Two big collections coming up at the end of 2023 in time for the holidays. Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus is going to be hitting the stands and your bookshops, collecting all 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree with an additional 140 pages of material, including lots of artwork that I produced just for this book. There are 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design out there. Some of them are out of print, so we are collecting all 3 volumes of X-Men Grand Design into a trilogy trade paperback that will be available from Marvel Comics in time for the holidays also. The current project that occupies my time is Red Room. There are 2 trade paperbacks of that out there, The Antisocial Network and Red Room Trigger Warnings, but we're starting off the next round of Red Room comics, started this May. Crypto Killers is the name. Every issue is completely self-contained, so if you see a Red Room comic, give it a shot. If you dig it, grab another issue. Issue 2 should be out in June. There are Jim Rugg variants. I have some variant covers, and special guests always show up when a new issue of Red Room comes out. And without further ado, let's take a look at this handy dandy little book, man. Frazetta, The Living Legend. Off the bat, man, don't you feel the Von Baudet in there a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, you see, like, just all the people he influenced. So, yeah, Von Baudet, the Max, Sam Keith. You know?
Sure, the Wrightsons.
Yeah.
You'll see Mignola in here.
That's one of the things I always think about with Frank Frazetta. He's so important to comics. He's so central to comics. And he has done his share of comics, but, like, his comics work isn't the stuff, you know, it isn't the stuff that is his contribution. It's kind of like he does all this, like, stuff that's just adjacent to comics that is the really influential work. That,
it's
like,
true.
You know,
I mean, he
all these guys.
Yeah, he literally did invisible comic work on Lil Abner for like almost a decade or something. And this book comprises like a good sample of kind of all of it, you know, mostly black and white artworks and stuff, but we get to see what his comic book contribution was. This is one of those books that his wife gave to me, it being very nice because I'm at his gallery space in East Stroudsburg, PA, and I'm getting too close to the paintings, and my fucking nose is setting off the little proximity alerts.
The Mission Impossible laser beam.
Exactly, man. And she keeps having to run to the little keypad to fucking turn off the alarm. And she's like, oh, you really like Frank's work, blah, blah, blah. And she gave me these books as almost like, I don't want to tell you to fuck off and get away from these things, man. I want to be nice. So maybe if I give you this, you could study these books and not stick your face up against the paintings.
Yeah, it's such a great story, and it really makes it special, and like makes just this object, this book itself, this, like, you know, just really important thing, this connection, this physical connection to Frank Frazetta and the family.
When you see these images of him, dude, you realize he draws himself.
Yeah. In
these comics, like, these are damn near reference photos.
Yeah, right.
In a way, man.
Like lean physique with like these muscles that kind of like, I mean, it is what like Robert E. Howard is describing in his, because like Conan wasn't this like giant powerhouse in those books. He was kind of like that exact build.
This is a very proto kind of monograph, so there's not so much information to go along with each of the images that we're seeing. I have no idea where this thing shows up. Probably cancelable these days. I don't know that any publisher's going to run out and publish it. But what do I know? Maybe there's 1,000 copies, 1,000 different reprints of Thunder. When you get into it, man, this looks like the thickets and things from Prince Valiant.
Yeah, and then these little cavemen here, like you've seen paintings of like something that's not too far off from that.
Yeah, this is cribbed from Hal Foster.
Okay.
Like that's a famous swipe of Hal Foster, and there, even in this one strip, there are probably several versions. It's these kind of black areas and things that the Mignola starts to
that deep shadow
come out a little bit.
Yeah, you do. It does pop. It is funny. Our understanding of Frazetta is kind of fused with our understanding of all the people who've, copied it.
Yeah, when you see these super wonky things, I imagine there's some kind of swipe that happened there.
Yeah, that looks like a Wally Wood figure.
It does.
A little bit.
It does, but like the Wally Wood figures that look like that are most definitely swipes.
Right.
And then they just kind of add their own style on top of it, and it kind of when they preserve the same head size. This is a typical anatomically correct man, but like superheroes and shit, you just shrink that head, and now you have an 11 head tall, hulking figure. No idea how old this strip is. It's not really called out, but you could just tell that it's old. And when I start to see stuff like this, it does make me wonder if it's a Flegel strip, like if that's a Roy Krenkel kind of background, because it does feel divorced from this, does it not?
Yeah.
And the Flegels would be, Al Williamson, Frazetta, Roy Krenkel, Angelo Torres a little bit, a couple of other guys. They would all do comics together. They would carouse and play baseball and go to movies and would help each other out in a pinch to get strips done fast, get your payday, and then go live life.
Yeah.
How about those sketches, man? Just that kinetic energy.
That was like the things that I've gotten from like some other Frazetta sketchbooks is like those sketches are where it's at.
Yeah.
That is,
all this little noodling, like you could see like the Kaludas, the Wrightsons.
Yeah, I mean, they even have the same signature.
Yeah. A whole generation of fanzine artists that don't have names beyond the fanzines. And it looks like he's using fucking Higgins ink. Man, that's some washed out shit.
Around, yeah.
I wonder if it's because, there's no information, but this looks like the aesthetics of his famous Funnies covers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that's where these things would have appeared. Strip work. Maybe this is Johnny Comet. We'll do bigger videos on some of that stuff. I know Jimmy's been collecting and isolating a bunch of his Frazetta comic books. So have I for a future video. I think that's his wife, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and yeah, I love all the photos that come with it because you do get a sense of a life well lived. He's like not for all his work. He's not like somebody who just kind of was sequestered off in a corner his whole life and watched time pass by.
Totally. Yeah. The guy had a beautiful family. Had a very, very rich life. Again,
more sketch work. Look, it's so great.
And that's got the Mignola vibe, right?
Yeah. So much closer to Mignola than like the finished pieces.
Yeah, and just even Mignola, I feel like takes away from the compositions. Of this kind of thing. Look at that, man. Atmosphere with hatching.
With hatching, yeah.
Pretty fucking cool,
hats
man.
Off to that.
That's a teachable trick.
Yeah.
That is kayfabe back muscles, and he understands the principles of the musculature, and just it's about the form, and he captures that so great. Very inspiring.
Yeah, there's a sensual quality to all his stuff, this understanding of like how one texture flows into the next.
Absolutely, man. And then when you see these smeary kind of hatches, man, Gary Gianni comes to mind.
And he really, like, it's amazing this graphic language that he's creating in black ink, but then I think he does learn that his time is better spent in a different medium, like in paints, where it's not so much of an uphill climb to get those textures and atmospheric effects.
It may be inside this book. It may actually be in a Wizard magazine where he talks about how unforgiving ink is.
Yeah.
And how you could just have more happy accidents while you're painting. And his kind of canvas of choice is just like a piece of masonite. It wasn't even about canvas.
Yeah.
So that's why you never see that kind of canvas texture. Such interesting marks, dude, with like a dry brush, probably 3 or 4 different kinds of brushes to get these different marks.
And this is him doing like a Walt Kelly kind of thing.
Just no pencil. You know there's no pencil there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he's just like finding the forms and with the ink. I love all that like princess headgear and the space princess headgear, which still feels contemporary.
Yeah,
like you would see that in like a NES game or you know.
You see enough of this dinosaur stuff with these textures. William Stout starts to come to mind. Looks like there's even some pencil. You know, they made photo stats of this to get it to turn into line.
And you can see how an aspiring artist would fall in love with this stuff, like a lot of these textures, you know, and maybe go overboard with
Absolutely. Like, and that shows his professionalism, because it would be very easy to get lost in it, but he maintains perfect clarity.
It's like Alex Nino.
Yeah. You know, great directional devices everywhere, pointing to your focal point. Great framing. You know, another hallmark of Frazetta language. Activating the glutes. The binding on this thing, the second I opened it.
Right, yeah.
That's probably why she's giving away, these are the dud copies.
Well, you know, I mean, it was an incredibly generous gesture, really great. But, like, yeah, when you have, like, a box of, you know, even if it's something that, like, at this point might be a pretty valuable item, it's like, you know, you got boxes of them in your garage, and it's like, you know, it'd be so nice to unload some of these.
Right. Look at this beautiful couple, man.
Yeah.
And the whole family, and, you know, like, very famously, he's the dude that would take a little less pay in order to keep his works. And, like, we legit know people who have spent millions of dollars on Frazetta originals. You know, he held on to all of them pretty much in his lifetime. Like, when I went to the East Stroudsburg, PA, to the gallery, I saw everything I wanted to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all there. That's...
And, you know, it's the kids are, you know, divvying the stuff up and getting paydays and shit. But he held on to that and built a great life for himself. By holding on to the copyrights, he was able to license the stuff. And that's how, like, all the little potheads in the 70s had their posters and shit. You know, he made a couple of, you know, a dime or a quarter on any of that shit.
Yeah, the
Lord of the Rings
stuff. Gollum.
So helpful to have some aesthetics to go along with that stuff that you were reading all those years.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm just realizing this, like, I never had my Frazetta phase. Like I kind of wish I would have gone through a phase as a kid or whatever where it just never, it's so great. Yeah, we've got some more Lord of the Rings. This is like a famous scene in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he kind of codified the language of, like, the orc aesthetic and the goblin aesthetic.
Yeah, the teeth and everything, you know.
Yeah, the shapes and stuff. He really internalized the Tolkien
verbiage. Yeah, again,
it created, like, the whole sword and sorcery, the real aesthetics of sword and sorcery. You know, I think on one episode with Warren Bernard, an early episode with Warren Bernard showing off the pulps, he showed us the first kind of visualization of Conan.
Yeah.
And it was like Clark Gable with his mustache cut off. Pretty skinny.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like, the Wally Wood Conan cover, and it's not like Conan as we know him. It's like it's Kirk Douglas as Spartacus, right? You know. Yeah, there's Frazetta as
I know,
John
right?
Carter.
You see him in there. And every time I see it when he's late, I just think he put his wife to work for a minute, man, and had her stand there, because that's just it's too luxurious. You can't kayfabe that.
Yeah, I mean,
how about the dong shrooms, man? Like, that lady's about to have a party. That's what this was. She's about to have a party. Oh man, she's gonna have a party with that nose. And I feel like we've seen that comic strip a million times. Like, when he climaxes a sneeze.
Yeah, that's Frank Miller,
Yellow
Sin City,
Bastard. Yeah, totally.
It's so funny what these guys draw from.
Right.
They're all such like nerds.
Yes, they are, man. I know for a fact that Frank Miller's the biggest kind of Star Trek guy.
Yeah, he drew his share of Star Trek covers in the beginning.
Is that true?
Yeah, some like during the first movie era, he was drawing the like Marvel Comics covers.
Interesting lighting exercises he's doing for himself, man, because that looks very accurate. Like he kayfabes his story plenty in is like,
sure, yeah.
I never look at reference, yada yada yada, but something like that. That's very well observed.
Well, he also does a lot of that kind of like magical of like that he's some kind of superhuman, that he can like turn invisible and stuff.
I hit a baseball so far it disappeared and we never retrieved it.
Yeah.
Go watch Painting with Fire, I believe it's called, man.
Yeah, it's like I think of like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. It's like that. I threw a football over that mountain.
This piece always disturbed me because it really does just look like amputee porn.
Interesting,
doesn't it?
No, I see what you're saying. It bugs me.
It always bugged me. I would have seen that in like a Wizard magazine or something. There he is living his best life.
Yep.
Handsome motherfucker, man. Mm-hmm. Like when you see a dude like this and he's as good at art as he is,
right?
It makes you question a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like there's got to be something to that kayfabe. Because this is a guy who's living his life, man.
Yeah. He's managing to fit in this whole like very rigorous
skill set.
Career and stuff, and then he's also he's like an athlete or whatever.
Totally.
There's Clint Eastwood, again, like he could be his stand-in.
Totally. Totally, man. There it is, a little reference. Ain't shying away from that a little bit.
And then, this guy Stallone steps right out of a Frazetta painting.
Dude, with that fucking Conan painting in the back, huh?
Yeah. George
Lucas at the Frazetta estate. That nice. Says a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah, man. If you make a Star Wars movie that looks like a Frazetta painting, they haven't done it yet, but you got something there.
It ain't Master of the Universe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's close. Yeah.
Doing stationery for Bo Derek. And look at that with his K-Swiss. Is that K-Swiss? His 4K Swiss. Super fun, man.
Yeah, really great.
There it is. A little better close-up of that famous Conan painting.
Yeah, we've seen it in color.
And what's interesting about this stuff, Ralph Bakshi talks about it in that Painting with Fire documentary, where he says that like when you go to the museum and you look at the actual artwork, it isn't how you remember it, and it's not like Mandela effect. He still fucks with his paintings.
Yes, and Lucas talks about that too. Like when you have a painting and it's still in it's not finished until someone takes it out of the hands of the artist. So that medium, that oil-based medium, is still working. You can reactivate it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he did. Yeah. And I think I bring it up because I think even specifically it is this painting, and I think this arm. I do have the old paperbacks. Let me just let me pull something out.
Yeah, that's great.
And see if we can do a quick comparison. Bear with me.
Yeah, I'm
it's
seeing
way
differences.
Different.
Yeah, I'm seeing differences already, and it's the same.
The
painting.
face, the face is totally different. He's refucked with that.
Yeah, man, just that idea of like an oil painting as like a living thing,
Absolutely. Wow, that's cool, man. Never thought that could pair.
Yeah.
Super rad.
Yeah, you're seeing like his shoulders arch, his head's coming down a little more.
It is. Yeah, the face has way more fidelity in sort of this later version. And it says 74, but I'm sure this is like before 74.
Yeah, 66.
Did you see 66?
Yeah, Lancer Book.
Oh yeah, there it is. Boom. Yeah. So like it's the same. It's all the stuff is there. You just put the bow on it. Mm-hmm. Said he was done in 74, so like almost 10 years later. Super interesting. There it is, man. The man.
Yeah.
Frank Frazetta, living legend. Rest in peace. Playing the hits, man. Mm-hmm. Let's get out of here. Kfabers, like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so that we can notify you when new vids are available. Vids are brought to you by the books that we make. Tom has I Am Stan biocomic about the life of Stan Lee coming out at the end of summer. It's going to come out in hardcover, softcover, and Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics biographical comic that Tom put together. It's going to get a paperback edition at the same time, and so if you slept on it the first time, go get that paperback joint. Tom, you are the creator of Fantastic Four Grand Design, American Barbarian. What are some of the other comics?
Godland, GoBots, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, Satan Soldier.
Yes, sir, man. We did a video on that.
Yeah.
Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus forthcoming in 2023, just in time for the holidays, doing 2 big collections. This is going to comprise of the 4 volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree, 140 pages of additional materials, and there is going to be a collection of the X-Men Grand Design Trilogy. Some of those volumes have been out of print, so we're ganging all those up together to collect them and put them out into the universe. Red Room is my current focus at the moment, and issue 1 of Crypto Killers is out in the wild. This is the cover to issue 2 that's going to come out in June. Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit is the name of the game in Red Room. 2 trade paperbacks of Red Room are out there in the wild as we speak. The Antisocial Network and Red Room Trigger Warnings. Jim Rugg has Street Angel Princess of Poverty forthcoming. It is a companion piece to Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive. You have both volumes of Street Angel comics. You're going to have all 25 years worth of Street Angel comics that have been created. Jimmy is the creator of Hulk Grand Design and the artist behind Plain Janes. We have comics that we need to go draw. So Tommy, give them those marching orders so that we can be on our way.
Make more comics.
Super cool, man.
Yep.
And should we wrap it up, or you got one more in you?
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right.
But yeah, this was fun.
Kfabers, King Kfabers, thank you so much for joining us. Next week we'll be back on schedule, and Jimmy should be back. Everything should be hunky dory, man. We'll get back to doing our regular sessions. We appreciate you supporting the channel. It's not often that we will be taking vacations, 1 or 2 times a year, but things are going to be getting steady starting next week. So thank you so much. As the day goes by, the produced videos will be showing up on the Cartoonist Kayfabe Patreon. Thank you so much. Take care.